What's up, y'all? Welcome to the swamp. But it's the weekend swamp, just the weekend edition. That means I'm just chillaxing, don't have anything really heavily structured like I do during Monday through Friday on the swamp. Not up to a whole lot. I don't play the intro music or anything. I don't go over like the top things that I'll be talking about. Although I did grab some stuff. There is some stuff going on, man. Some shit went down today, man. A lot of things went down. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to play the music. Yeah! Playing the Technocrats. Welcome to the swamp. Hey, the shutdown continues. Look at this. It's the shutdown. The Democrat shutdown. 3 days, 21 hours, 45 minutes, 41 seconds. And it keeps ticking up and up. What did they say? $700 million. That's how much it's costing the taxpayers every day. Nearly $1 billion. That's how much money that we have to pay for all of these furloughed employees, the 700,000 employees that have been placed on leave, or the ones who are working without pay. I know there's a lot of them that are working without pay. Yeah, all right. I'll quit the music. You know, enough fun with that. Anyway, so yeah, man, some stuff went down. You know, speaking of the shutdown, apparently, even though that people aren't getting paid, I guess the last actual payday that happened was the last day before the shutdown. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you work in the federal government, and did you just get your last paycheck, assuming that it's going to be shut down for more than 2 weeks? I mean, that's what I kept hearing. I kept hearing that not this next coming Friday, but the Friday after, it'll be 2 weeks after the shutdown, and that's going to be when you miss your first official paycheck, like your first check that you're supposed to get, but you can't because the shutdown persists. It continues. Speaking of comments, check this out. I came across this comment the other day. I forgot to mention it yesterday. So this was on my video that I did the other day. Immigration trolls Bad Bunny says ICE agents will attend the Super Bowl. Well, I got a comment from Truth Seeker K9V, and they actually had a really good point. How about an executive order? This is with regard to illegal immigration and all that nonsense that we keep dealing with. So how about an executive order? You can't travel to America without traveler's insurance. I think that's a hell of a good start because I'm assuming that would probably take care of your healthcare issues. Traveler's insurance, doesn't it? Like if you break a bone or if you fall down and get injured or anything like that, wouldn't that be covered under your traveler's insurance? Isn't that the point of getting traveler's insurance? And then also can't get healthcare without a social security number. I'm all about that. I think that's a fantastic idea. No social security number. No health care, no health insurance, no government-funded health care in any way, shape, or form without a social security number. That is super plain and simple. You don't have to type up, 1,000 pages worth of legislation to convolute the shit out of it. Just keep it simple. No social security number, no chance at all. And also deportation for non-citizens entering a hospital without health insurance. I think that's also a pretty good idea. So anyway, yeah, I thought that was interesting, so I figured I would share that, at least for a moment. I didn't want to forget, because I did technically forget yesterday. I saw like a couple hours before I started the show, and I kind of got into digging for content, and it just overlooked me, so my bad. Anyway, yeah, I'll try to stay on top of the comments, even though it's still a new channel. I think I'm up to like 75 subscribers now, man. That's awesome. That is really cool. For me, it just seems like they just, like the subscriber count, it's still relatively low, like it's not in the millions of subscribers or anything like that. I don't ever expect to get that far. I just do this for fun. It's just for fun. My daughter, she graduated high school back in May, so I got more time on my hands and, just hanging out, man, having a good time. Getting older, getting a little older, getting a little wiser. The government's completely fucked up. And Trump just got his second term this year, so a lot going on, a lot of craziness. And speaking of which, this comes from Western Patriot think tank researcher. Breaking: federal agents shot an armed woman in Chicago's Brighton Park after cars rammed ICE and Border Patrol units today. She's in fair condition. DHS says it was part of a coordinated disruption, and it's still developing. Yeah, I guess there were up to 10 vehicles that were blocking ICE and Border Patrol. They were, of course, protesters, rioters, whatever the hell you want to call them. They're all the above. Obstructionists. And if you ask me, not enough of them were arrested. Every single last fucking one of them should have been arrested. Every last one of them. But didn't appear that they were. Looked like a couple of them were. And by a couple, it could have been a dozen, maybe a couple dozen. Not sure, but I think everybody there should have been arrested. But that's just me. So here, I'll play this out. It's 46 seconds. I've actually got quite a few clips with regard to this. This actually looks like was filmed, or no, so this was released 6 hours ago, 3:13 p.m. Not sure about the whole nighttime background because I'm pretty sure this happened in broad daylight, but here, I'll give this a listen.
So the governor saying that you
See if
guys
this has to do with
doing
it.
anything to make the community safer, what would you say in response to him?
You know, I don't think the governor has ever stepped foot near a Train de Aragua member or MS-13
Oh, you know
member
he
or
hasn't.
any other bad person or bad thing, so he probably wouldn't understand exactly what we're talking about. It might be way over
No, he
his
just
head.
understands how to
But
eat
don't
pasta
worry,
and get fucking
Governor
fat.
Pritzker, we've got it covered from here. And,
Governor Pizza.
This is just the beginning. Tonight's just the beginning, and we're going to roll on and on. We are going to turn and burn, Governor.
Turn
We're
and
going
burn,
from this one
motherfucker.
To the next, to the next, to
And
the
the next,
until
and
they
the next.
quit or are all deported and go home. And as far as him, he can either get on board or watch from the sidelines.
Oh, yeah, he watched from the sidelines, man. This is the federal fucking government you're fucking with, Governor Pritzker. You could try to obstruct all you want. You could try to play dirty games all you want, but you ain't stopping them. You're not going to stop the federal government. Unless you want to wage a second civil war. I mean, Democrats, they're the ones that started the first civil war. They're the ones that broke away from the Union. It was the Southern Democrats. They're the ones that did it. Read your history books. So they fired off the first Civil War, and they couldn't keep their slaves because the North won. The Republicans won the Civil War, and they had to give up their slaves. And they were very, very angry about that. So they decided to form up the Ku Klux Klan, which persisted for decades and decades. Again, read a history book. It's all the Southern fucking Democrats. Democrats. And if they want, I suppose, only the federal government's trying to hold everything together. If they want to fire off the second Civil War, I'm not saying that I'm all for that. I'm very much against that. I think that's definitely the last thing that our country needs right now, especially when we've got China right across the Pacific Ocean. They've been the second largest economy for quite a while, and they seem to be catching up to us, even though they've got a slew of problems on their own. I mean, their economy's been on pretty shaky ground basically the entire time. You know, they're building entire, like, these major cities that are just ghost cities to try to keep their economy, like, artificially, boosted, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. You know, we've already got enough chaos going on inside the country right now. The last thing we want is to physically tear each other apart, which would absolutely pave the way for foreign governments and foreign countries to really take over the world, maybe. Like the BRICS nations. That would not be good. Definitely would not be good. I think we would see a lot of external plays against us because we would be just too preoccupied dealing with our own bullshit, which I think a lot of this shit was started by China in the first place with fucking TikTok, man. TikTok did a lot of fucking damage to our culture. A lot of damage to the culture. Anything that was detrimental to American society, TikTok just seemed to algorithm all the way up to the very top, time and time and time again. And not only that, they were promoting people to do exactly what was the act of degeneracy. And by doing so, they were getting a lot of ad revenue, getting a lot of clicks, a lot of traffic, a lot of time. Yeah, and it's just not good at all. Anyway, whatever, man. I'm getting off subject with that. But this is from the New York Post. And it is U.S. Border Patrol agents shoot armed woman in Chicago after being boxed in by cars. So we've got a bit of footage here. Which, of course, the Chicago brain-dead progressive assholes that are down here. Look, they know how to give the bird. They know how their middle finger works. Congratulations. Should I go back? I guess I'll go back. Why not? Let's full screen this. All this obstruction, man. This is all obstruction. If you're standing in a public roadway and federal agents, it doesn't matter if it's ICE, it doesn't matter who it is, if there's federal agents that are moving down a public roadway and there's civilians, citizens, residents that are blocking the roadway, that is obstructing. That's obstructing the official duties of federal agents. That comes with up to an 8-year federal prison sentence for obstruction. It carries up to 8 years in prison. So why they're not blanket arresting every last one of these people is beyond me. Of course, the ones who are standing on the sidewalk, probably not a lot you can do about that. Maybe you could arrest them for, I don't know, like civil unrest or some shit. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with all that. Yeah, because like in a lot of areas, probably depends on a number of factors, but I've heard that if you want to protest anything, that you're supposed to take out a permit with the city, but maybe that only has to do with marches to where you're going to be occupying the open road or a large portion of sidewalks and things like that. If it's basically going to hinder the daily goings on of the public at large, then you're supposed to get a permit for that. However, things like this, when they're just standing on the sidewalk in a residential area, maybe there's not much they can do about that. But there looked to me like there were people out there in the road. Although maybe not, I don't know. What the fuck was that thing? Was that a drone? Well, they called it an ICE operation, didn't they? This doesn't look like it's at the ICE headquarters. Yeah, that's got to be a drone or something. Yeah, obviously it's a drone. I think it begs the question: how many of these people are being paid to be here? These quote unquote activists, these quote unquote protesters, the paid protesters. I bet the number is probably higher than you might think. I would venture to guess. Anyway, U.S. Border Patrol agents shot
good evening.
in.
I'm a parent and
Oh no. Okay, all right. Let's start that over again. U.S. Border Patrol agents shot an unarmed woman in Chicago Saturday after an angry mob tried to attack law enforcement officers. The group of agents were conducting the routine patrol near 39th Place and South Kedzie Avenue in the city's south side when they were attacked and rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars, the Department of Homeland Security said. Quote, the officers exited their trapped vehicle when a suspect tried to run them over, forcing the officers to fire defensively, unquote, according to DHS, which called the incident an evolving situation and noted FBI agents were currently on the scene. The suspect, who is a U.S. citizen, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon, Department spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said. A little bit misleading because semi-automatic, that describes like 90% of guns out there, essentially. I mean, even a revolver is technically a semi-automatic weapon, isn't it? But I believe she had a handgun. It wasn't a rifle, wasn't an AR-15. I believe it was a handgun. So I don't know why they would have just said handgun. It would have been quicker, but I mean, I don't know, whatever. So the gun-toting woman was already known to the federal agency for allegedly publicly identifying agents and encouraging people to attack them, according to McLaughlin. Quote, the armed woman was named in a CBP intelligence bulletin last week for doxing agents and posting online, hey, to all my gang, let's fuck those motherfuckers up. Don't let them take anyone, McLaughlin wrote on X. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why ICE and other agents keep their masks on, because that's exactly what the left does. They engage in mass doxing. That is specifically what they do. They'll have their keyboard warriors that will troll all over the internet. They'll scour the internet and they will try to figure out a name that belongs to the face. And thanks to innovations in the AI sphere, I'm sure it's probably easier than ever to take just a face of someone and feed it through some AI software of some I don't even know, like some sort or whatever, but I'm sure that there's something out there where you can take somebody's face, feed it through AI, and it probably scours the internet to look for a match of that face, probably through even the likes of Facebook and other resources, and they can put a name to the face. Or maybe not. Maybe they just have to go about it the hard way. Maybe they just have to browse through just public records until they can find a match or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of the scary thing with AI, man. Like, just the amount of shit that it can do in such a short amount of time. It'll probably get down to the point where AI could probably even just take just the partial face, just the eyes and the nose, and be able to figure out who the hell you are. That'd be fucking crazy. So let's see. But anyway, more federal agents were sent to be deployed because of the incident. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote on X, Today in Chicago, members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon. I'm deploying more special operations to control the scene. Reinforcements are on their way, she wrote. If you see a law enforcement officer today, thank them. And I've got all these posts too, already bookmarked. The armed woman, who was not immediately identified, drove herself to the hospital after the shooting to get care of her wounds, McLaughlin added. A spokesperson for the Chicago Fire Department told the Chicago Sun-Times the woman was later found and taken to a local hospital in stable condition. The fire department could not immediately be reached for comment. The time and location of the shooting weren't immediately clear. Thankfully, no law enforcement officers were seriously injured. Let's see, who then ripped the lefty Illinois governor for failing to help? Yeah, of course. Of course, that's what we're doing, or they're doing. Governor Pritzker's Chicago Police Department is leaving the shooting scene and refuses to assist us in securing the area. There is a crowd growing, and we are deploying special operations to control it. All right. A mob had gathered in the area to protest the shooting and were met with tear gas deployed by the federal agents, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Latest violence comes after the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement last month launched Operation Midway Blitz, which we're all pretty well aware of by now, which they're targeting criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew they would be protected by the governor because it's a sanctuary state. Chicago's a sanctuary city inside a sanctuary state. And anyway, there's a little bit more of the article that you can read on, and I'll link it below if you want to check that out. So, also with regard to this incident in Chicago from Kim Katie USA, it's pure chaos in Chicago as people throw items at agents' vehicles as they leave the area where the woman rammed an ICE vehicle and was subsequently shot. So if you throw an item, yeah, I don't even think it even has to hit the agents. If you throw a projectile at them, that comes with up to a 20-year federal prison sentence. Up to 20. So I don't know, man. With all these cops here, all these agents, maybe people weren't lobbing stuff at them when there was that heavily of a law enforcement presence, maybe. But I would think that if one single person steps out of line, they'd immediately snatch them up. That's what they really should be doing. At least that's what President Trump, Secretary Kristi Noem, like even Kash Patel, Pamela Bondi, the Attorney General, all these people, they're telling us that they're sending in the cavalry. They're sending in hundreds of armed guards and agents, military. They're sending all these people in, and they're going to absolutely just lock shit down. But yet, whenever we see this footage, there's hundreds of protesters out there, and nothing's really happening to them at all. They're just kind of just starting shit and blocking shit and just causing mayhem. Anyway, let's take a watch at this. About 21 seconds.
Por ahí andan las noticias que según quieren deportar a toda la raza trabajadora y les hicimos este corrido, compa Kevin.
All right, I don't understand the whole music thing. It's kind of hilarious, I guess. Americano. I understood that word. All right, this one's from Rapid Report. Breaking: Chicago woman shot by ICE and CBP after blocking agents with her car and being armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Protesters rapidly gathering on scene. Another angle. And again, this was today. Just 7 seconds. That was a quick one. That was posted 7 hours ago, around 2:29 p.m. So maybe this was like maybe somewhere around noonish, maybe 1 o'clock. And by that, I mean Eastern time. I'm Chicago Central time, though, right? Derek Evans, breaking: federal agents just shot a woman outside the ICE facility. Chicago, she was armed with a handgun and was in one of multiple vehicles ramming ICE and Border Patrol agents. What did she think was going to happen? She was hitting agents with a car and had a gun. Look, I've been trying to find footage of this incident, of her actually ramming them with her car. I can't find it. There's got to be somebody out there with that footage. I mean, these protesters are all filming this shit. Of course they are. I mean, dude, they're all out in the fucking road, man. They're all out in the road. 8 years, man. 8 fucking years. And they're doing nothing. Maybe, I guess technically, maybe it's because the agents are not turning right. They're not heading down that way. Instead, they're just going straight. So perhaps maybe they're not technically, impeding the duties of the federal agents, or they're not obstructing them, I guess. Even though it's still against the law to be blocking a public roadway. But who knows? Maybe it's not in Chicago. I don't know. I know it certainly is here in Florida. I know if there's protesters that block a road, and if you're in your vehicle and they stop your vehicle by standing in the middle of the road, if they lay a finger on your vehicle, you can run them the hell over. I know that's a thing here. That's why we don't get protesters in the middle of the street in the state of Florida, because they'll get run the fuck over, and the driver won't be charged. Just make sure you have a dash cam. I don't. Look, if you don't have a dash cam by now in the year 2025, I have no idea why you don't. They're so cheap at this point. If you patronize Amazon, you can get one on Amazon for like $20 at this point, and it records in 1080p quality. You might even be able to find 4K quality dash cams for under $50 by now. Definitely get a dash cam. Not only get one that records in high quality, but also make sure that you get one that's good with night vision. They sell them in infrared. They also sell more like enhanced night vision technology. You can go up to like, I don't know, $100, maybe $150 and get a really nice one. The one I currently have, I think I paid like $70 for it about 2 years ago. I'm still using it, still works perfectly fine. And that's after, day after day of the hot sun, just blasting my car all day, every day. And it still works perfectly fine. It's not been sun damaged or anything like that. Records really good quality. It's definitely something that you need in this day and age, because you just never fucking know. You absolutely just don't know. I mean, somebody just sitting in front of you in traffic might back into you and then accuse you of hitting them. It could be just something as stupid as that. But yeah, dude, get a dash cam if you don't have one. Like seriously, get a dash cam. Anyway, this is from Benny Johnson. At the site of today's terror attack on federal agents, Chicago left-wing extremists are now waving Mexican flags and harassing law enforcement. Chicago PD under Governor J.B. Pritzker fled, refusing to help agents secure the area. It's hilarious that they're waving Mexican flags, but they fled Mexico to come to the United States, but they're waving Mexico flags. That really doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. If you hate the American flag and you're flying the Mexican flag, why the hell do you have a problem with them rounding you up and sending you back to Mexico? I mean, you're cheering on Mexico. If you want to make America Mexico, why the fuck did you leave Mexico in the first place, dumbass? Let's take a look at this. On TikTok. Oh, no sound, huh? No sound? All right. I guess no sound. Here, I'll add some sound. Oh, yeah! All right. Enough of that. Yeah, no sound, though. I mean, nothing really... They're not really doing anything. They're just blocking the road. And they've got this stupid crime scene tape up, or caution tape. Fucking arrest them, man. Arrest them. They're obstructing. Arrest them. Give them 8 years. Of course, it'd be up to the judge. Probably a left-wing judge. That would only be everyone's luck. And this one, Eric Daugherty. Chaos is erupting in Chicago after the terror attack on federal agents. Chicago police are now on scene. Several insurgents were seen waving Mexican flags. Start arresting. The crowd will disperse. Yeah, they will. So the Chicago police are here. They're here on scene. So I don't know if maybe there weren't enough feds that were there yet. Maybe when the feds rolled in, that's just when they decided to bail. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, you know the Chicago cops, they're not going to do shit. I mean, hell, their mayor, the elected officials, they're encouraging this shit. And they are. They're absolutely encouraging this. The fucking rabble, man. The brainwashed lunatics. Brain bleached. Fucking lunatics. And what's hilarious is a lot of these people, they cry online and they freak out on the internet about how they can't find a job anywhere, and they're freaking out about their rent costing double what it cost a few years ago without even realizing that, by and large, it's because of illegal immigration. They got to work somewhere. They got to live somewhere. And the reason your utilities are going up is because they got to use electricity too. They got to use water too. All those other things that you have to pay for, illegal immigrants are tapped into it now too, and our system wasn't prepared to take in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 million people in a very short amount of time. That's why everything got more expensive, but these people are freaking out about how all these illegal immigrants should just stay here and not be fucked with. Despite the fact that ICE and all of them, they're not taking your everyday illegal immigrant that snuck in. They're going after the most ruthless criminals. That's who they've been going after all year. They're not going after just the everyday mom and pop illegal immigrant. Not yet. I'm sure they're going to get there. But right now, they're trying to get the ones that have been in Latin American prisons because they emptied out the prisons across Latin America and sent them all up here to the U.S. That's why you keep hearing about these people who are getting arrested and deported by ICE. Like, virtually 100% of them have some horrific criminal record already, most of which were committed after they got here in the U.S. And then you got these brain-dead retards that are out here just insisting that ICE go away and leave them alone. Leave them alone. They're just human beings. It's absolutely fucking mind-boggling that you want these people to stay in your community and keep, what, wreaking havoc? Keep committing the crimes that they've been committing? Peddling drugs? Manufacturing drugs, because a lot of the fentanyl is now being manufactured inside the United States. Yeah, they're still smuggling in a lot of it that's already been made, but they're trying to get around a lot of the customs and by importing the precursor materials, and then they manufacture them inside the country. But again, a lot of these people, they're just getting paid to be here. And a lot of other people, they just want the chaos. They want the unrest. They hate cops because they just hate cops. You know, they used to listen to, like, you know, Ice Cube, fuck the police and all that shit. Just their mentality. They just don't like cops in general. This dude loves to run his fucking mouth, but if he goes toe-to-toe against one of those cops, he's gonna get his fucking ass beat. That cop's gonna slap his glasses right off before he fucking throws his ass down on the ground and cuffs him. All right, let's do the next one. Actually, hold on a second. I'm gonna put a pause on that. Let's see what else I got here. I think I got something else. Is it over here? Federal agents ambushed near Chicago ICE facility. A woman wounded in a shooting. Federal agents Broadview, Illinois were rammed and boxed by 10 vehicles during routine patrols outside an ICE processing center on Saturday morning. Leading Border Patrol to shoot and wound a woman who brandished a semi-automatic weapon after ramming their vehicle. The clash heightens tensions from the weeks of protests against Operation Midway Blitz, which has led to over 800 immigration arrests in the Chicago area. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem deployed reinforcements and special operations teams, while President Trump ordered the federalization of 300 National Guard troops for deployment in Chicago. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker condemned the move as a violation of states' rights. Well, dude, get your shit under control, man. You gotta get your shit under control. You're letting lawlessness just persist. You're just letting it go on and go on. Anyway, this is from News Nation. I'll hear their take.
Is a similar scene in Chicago. Violence escalating between protesters and ICE agents here. A woman was shot after she allegedly attempted to hit federal officers with her car. Then in Broadview, Illinois.
Are you sure that was her, though? I don't think that was the woman who was shot.
The Department of Homeland Security is reporting that law enforcement
because I think she drove off, right?
By vehicles
she drove off, and they found her later.
In by 10 cars. That's where we
I don't even think that's a lady.
Mills Hayes.
I think that's a man.
Mills, what are you seeing out there today?
A lot of assholes.
Hi, Kelly.
A lot of retards.
There are more protesters that have started to come here.
I mean, look at this. Like, these are the kind of people that they got to deal with. Like, fucking coloring on the ground. That's how childish a lot of these fucking idiots are. They go out there and they're coloring with sidewalk chalk. They're gonna make a pretty fuck ICE picture with little rainbow colors, and it's gonna be so adorable. It's gonna be so amazing. I think you could just take a fucking a bucket of soapy water and just throw it on it, and it'll be gone in like 5 seconds.
This Broadview ICE facility, we know there's
although
some
she's
more
probably
activity.
using real paint.
Also,
she
where
probably
that
is.
woman was shot, you mentioned that. Now,
or not.
No,
I think she's actually using sidewalk chalk.
Says that President Trump
Hilarious.
plans to federalize 100 Illinois National Guard troops to help protect ICE personnel and facilities. We expect this crowd here at the Broadview ICE facility to grow throughout the night.
Children.
Now,
coloring.
Meanwhile, DHS is speaking out after a woman was shot by federal law enforcement officers after allegedly trying to ram Border Patrol agents with her car. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posting on X saying, quote, members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon, adding that she is deploying more special operations to control the scene. The FBI is investigating, and the woman is in critical condition at the hospital. Protesters responding.
Did you see that? Again, another case of obstruction. They're all standing here blocking the road. The vehicles are right here. I'm sure they're eventually trying to get through this road. They should be arresting every single one of them, but they're not. For some reason, they're not. They're not arresting all these people, and they need to. The public keeps telling them to arrest them. I just don't understand why they're not.
Critical condition at the hospital. Protesters responding nearby.
By the way, man, those 10 vehicles that were blocking them, what do you think? Like, should they have opened fire on them? Especially if one of those vehicles actually struck a federal agent's vehicle or any one of their vehicles, even this big-ass Bearcat. If it was hit by a vehicle, why wouldn't they have opened fire on them? Because now it's assault with a deadly weapon. I just don't get it. If you're not going to use, if you're not going to upgrade the amount of force that you're using, they're not going to learn their lesson. They're just going to keep showing up. Now, I'm not saying that they should just open fire and start mowing down, dozens of people. No, I mean, that's obviously not going to have a good look. But I don't know, man. It just kind of begs the question. Why aren't they enforcing more heavily?
One woman saying her son, who is a U.S. citizen, was detained earlier today by immigration officials. All of this happening after Secretary Noem's visit to the Broadview ICE facility where protests.
Oh, yeah, that really pissed him off.
She
went up there yesterday.
From the press. Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Gregory Bovino leading the arrest outside the facility on Friday. DHS says that 13, quote, rioters were arrested during the standoff, with Illinois State Police joining federal law enforcement officers and trying to keep protesters back. Meanwhile, Operation Midway
most of these people show up because they got nothing better to do.
This
just something to do. They want to be a part of history.
Federal law enforcement
They just want to be down in the chaos, just to be in a part, just to be a part of it.
Activists tried to impede ICE vehicles. A similar situation outside a local hospital where tear gas was deployed while protesters tried to block law enforcement vehicles. Chicago alderperson Jesse
arrest every
Fuentes
one of them, but they're not.
Put in handcuffs at that hospital after trying to get more
It looks like they got a couple of them. Those are probably the ones that were throwing shit at them
during an arrest and at the hospital. Protesters saying that there is no need for the National Guard.
We're here today because we don't know what else to do. I mean, what's happening in this country is insane. I heard just this morning, first thing, of a father of a student in my children's school district being kidnapped by ICE and taken. I don't know.
Oh my
all the
God,
details,
lady, you're fucking
but this
retarded.
It's affecting communities. It's affecting everyone.
It's also affecting your local job market and your renter's market, you moron.
They confirmed to me that there were federal law enforcement immigration officers near an elementary school in Logan Square neighborhood just yesterday, and they continue to say that the safest place for students and staff is still at school, despite that activity around the school there, Kelly.
All right, Mills Hayes will
be checking
they're not going into
schools.
Thank you.
They've already been very clear about that. Been very clear about that. They're not going into schools, and they're not even standing around the vicinity of schools. They're not snatching up kids that were brought into the country illegally. They're not doing that. Fucking idiots. It's not happening. Anyway, so let's see if I got anything else. Okay, yeah, I've got a few more pertaining to that, but this is in no like set order. Again, it's the weekend. I didn't really prepare a whole lot. I just figured I'd just go with the flow. But this is from Secretary Brooke Rollins. It's not pertaining to the riot today. Anyway, this past June, I heard about Andy Henry's fight to save his 175-year-old family farm from an eminent domain seizure for affordable housing in New Jersey. I promised we would look into it. Yeah, so the state of New Jersey, they're trying to seize his farm under eminent domain so they can take his land, and they're going to build affordable housing there. But the guy who's owned his property, his family's owned it for almost 200 fucking years. The state of New Jersey wants to just take it. Well, we'll give you fair market value, the value that we determine, which they've offered him up to, I think it was $30 million. That's how much they've offered him for his farm. And he said, no, fuck that. You're not going to take my land. This is my farm. I don't care how much money you want to offer me. Look, if they keep that farm, let's say 50 years down the road, it's probably going to be worth like 10 times that much. So be like, look, I fully expected to be here at least another 50 years. So how much do you think, if it keeps ascending in the value that it's at right now, pushing it forward 50 years. Why don't you give me that amount of money? However much it's going to be worth in 50 years, I'll take that amount. Not that they would do that. I mean, look, if they end up winning this imminent domain in the courts, that's basically how it works. If they have to surrender their farm because they adjudicated that imminent domain, it applies in this case, they just give them the fair market value. It's really messed up. It's really crazy, but I mean, imminent domain's not anything new. They've been doing that for forever, especially when they built the interstate highway system. I mean, all these interstate highways, when did they start building them? In the 60s, I think, like around the 1960s. And they had to use eminent domain to essentially build the entire nation's interstate infrastructure. Anyway, in the intervening days, our incredible USDA team held dozens of calls and meetings, and we sent a letter to the Cranberry Township Council asking them to defer action on the farm. We are making progress. Just last week, we welcomed the man himself, my friend Andy, to our DC headquarters. We continued to map out the plan, so encouraging to sit in the room hearing ideas from both sides of the aisle. I'm so grateful to my partner, Secretary Turner, or S. Turner, our incredible USDA NRCS team, USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service team, but perhaps even more grateful to NJDA, New Jersey's Department of Agriculture, Secretary Ed Wingren, and let's see, also New Jersey DCA, the Department of Community Affairs, Commissioner Jacqueline Suarez, and Alex Herman with Governor Murphy, Governor of New Jersey, I'm assuming, who all made the trip down to DC to join us. Andy, we will keep fighting for you and hundreds of other farmers and ranchers across America battling an overreaching government. There is no more important fight. More to come, likely this month. Let's check out this video from Fox News.
Candidate for New Jersey Governor Jack Ciattarelli.
Uh-oh. What happened there? It's not going to let me full screen it.
Candidate for New Jersey Governor Jack
right.
Ciattarelli is hitting the campaign trail today, visiting this 170-year-old farm, which is...
And we sent Nate Foy there. He is live at the farm and joins us with what's at stake here and how it fits into this gubernatorial race.
Hey guys, good morning. So yeah, this 175-year-old family farm, which is located smack dab in the middle between New York City and Philadelphia, has ignited a debate nationwide about farming.
You know what? They showed a really old picture of that house. If that house is well over 100 years old, I wonder if they can get it registered with the National Registry of Historic Places. I think if they do that, I don't think the state can touch their farm, at least not the farmhouse.
Protections for farmers, pardon me. So the Cranberry Township is trying to seize this land behind me in order to build affordable housing units. And today, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, Jack Ciattarelli, will come here to lay out his plan for housing and development in the Garden State. So take a look at our newest Fox News poll. You can see that Ciattarelli trails Democratic candidate Mikey Sherrill by 8 points among likely voters. Both candidates want to improve affordability, but Ciattarelli says the suburbs are being overdeveloped.
What's going on in Cranberry, New Jersey is the poster child for the failure of the current housing policy. When a town has to use eminent domain to condemn a 175-year-old family farm, it tells you all you need to know about what's wrong with these mandated housing quotas that towns have to meet. It's all going to end under Governor Ciattarelli.
Now, as for Cheryl, she's defending her record at the U.S. Naval Academy from 3 decades ago. She claims that she didn't walk at graduation because she refused to rat on fellow classmates who cheated. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is getting involved
Doesn't
to
have a
protect
clean
this
record,
farm.
huh?
The owner met with Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins in Washington, D.C. last week. And where we stand right now is the town is getting an appraisal so they can make what they consider to be a fair offer. But to this point, this farmer has not been interested, turning down offers between $20 and $30 million. His lawyer tells Fox he expects him to turn down the town's newest offer and let this process play out in the courts. We'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, the two brothers say that they want to preserve that land for legacy and for the county's history. And most people would accept that offer, but they're fighting back. They don't want to lose their land, even if they're being paid $30 million. Good for them.
All right, Nate, you're going to be out there all day.
Thank you.
Man, that's a lot. Look, in some parts of the country, $30 million would buy you a hell of a lot of land, even in today's market. Yeah, I don't know. And it looks like the Ciattarelli, is that it? Yeah, Ciattarelli. Doesn't look like I mean, at least according to the polls, it doesn't look like it's too likely that he might end up winning the race. But it wasn't too long ago, New Jersey, they had a Republican governor. Wasn't it Chris Christie? Wasn't he the governor like back when he was running against Trump in 2016? So, I mean, New Jersey, they're capable of voting for a Republican for governor. And just in spite of all the chaos and all the bullshit that we've been dealing with over the last 10 years, I'm actually really surprised that they're not going to end up reelecting a Republican, but who knows? Yeah, this whole thing, not so sure how that's going to go. If I were to take a wild guess, I'd probably say that he's going to end up losing in the courts, especially if the state makes a very solid case as far as the affordable housing, its location, and how that's going to benefit low-income people, because maybe it's like right around the corner from a number, like like one of the main bus stops or something that allows them to travel anywhere in the city. Like it could just come down to location, where they might just make the argument that this is just the best place that we can put it. And there's a good possibility the court might side with the city. I mean, eminent domain, it happens all the time. Anyway, Rollins huddles with Andy Henry legal team as fight to save Cranberry Farm grinds on. Trump administration pushes back on New Jersey town moving to seize a 175-year-old family farm via eminent domain. And the picture of them, I'm assuming that's the farmer guy, if I were to take a guess. All right. So that's happening. And anyway, moving back into the legal drama, the law enforcement drama, FBI Director Kash Patel breaking MSNBC, still an ass clown factory of disinformation. Some are the same circus animals that slobbered all over perp walks of Stone, Navarro, and Bannon. MSNBC has no facts and no audience. In this, FBI, follow the chain of command or get relieved. And he's responding to Barb McQuaid, who says DOJ policy prohibits perp walks in which arrestees are paraded before the cameras. And she's responding to Jesse Rodriguez, who I think works at MSNBC, I think. MSNBC confirms an FBI agent in the Washington field office has been fired for refusing to arrest and perp walk James Comey. Yeah, somehow doesn't sound all that believable. Stacey's right. DOJ policy used to prohibit pre-dawn raids on a former president's home with a CNN helicopter hovering overhead, capturing it all and broadcasting it live. Shut the fuck up. Exactly. Probably shouldn't have done this. Fuck around, find out. Yup. I would say so. Anyway, let's see who this dude... MSNBC Vice President of Editorial and Booking. Yep, fancy that. Fancy fucking that. MSNBC confirms. Don't you mean I confirm? But who are you confirming through? Anonymous sources. It's anonymous sources. Anonymous sources. Anonymous sources. But let's see. Maybe they actually list out the sources. This is the article. At least where they claim that this is happening, or that this FBI agent was fired. Oh, is it just a fucking video? I don't want to play the stupid video. I just wanted to see. I'm not going to give this more than a minute or so. Oh, wait, hold on.
Breaking moments ago, MSNBC has just confirmed, reporting from Reuters, that an FBI agent in the Washington field...
Okay, reporting from Reuters. So you confirmed through another publication, and I'm assuming they gave you their source. Why would you say that you confirmed through Reuters? Why don't you just say you confirmed through the source? And the source was, because Reuters, they certainly confirmed. Anyway, let me see what she says.
Has been fired. And they were fired for refusing to arrest and perp.
And by the way, Kash Patel said this is complete and absolute bullshit. And this is a clown fucking show. MSNBC, DNC.
At his arraignment next week. They wanted to perp walk Jim Comey.
Yes.
A reminder,
no, they didn't.
Michael, that this is about humiliation and not action.
Okay, whatever. They're just going to fucking give a whole bunch of opinionated bullshit. I would like to see... Well, they said they confirmed from Reuters. Conveniently, they don't have anything down here with regard to any sources or anything like that. Let me see if I can find it, though. Let's see. Reuters... Maybe. Here we go. I'm assuming this is what they're talking about. Reuters FBI agent relieved of duty over refusing Comey perp walk. 4 people familiar say. Okay, well, who are the 4 people? 4 people briefed on the matter said on Friday. Okay. Well, let's see if we can find out who those 4 people are. Federally charged last month. All right. FBI spokeswoman. Here, let me size this down a bit. Might be a little easier to read. All right. An FBI spokeswoman declined to comment on personnel matters. Okay. Well, that's certainly not a source. All right. There's nothing there. Here we go. Reuters could not immediately determine how or when senior FBI officials wanted to stage bringing Comey in. Okay. Only a summons to appear. Defendants. All right. Comey. Anyway, an attorney for Comey declined to comment. Trump fired Comey. Trump threatened to imprison. Blah, blah, blah. Investigating. Oh. Well, isn't that funny? I don't see any sources here, MSNBC. Where are the sources? All it said was 4 people briefed on the matter. What 4 fucking people? Who? All you're saying is 4 people. You could have just yanked any number you wanted out of your ass. You could have just said 5 people. You could have said 2 people. You could have said 15 people. This is why the mainstream media is not to be trusted. They're completely full of shit. They didn't even say anonymous sources. They just said, well, just like 4 people. It could have literally come from anywhere. Because they're full of shit, man. If they can't confirm who it is, I mean, like, they don't even say anonymous officials or anything like that. Just a bunch of fucking rage bait bullshit. So, yeah, I completely understand why FBI Director Kash Patel is a little bit pissed off about that. Because they are an ass clown factory. Anyway, this comes from Caroline Levitt from Donald J. Trump's True Social today. I appreciate that Israel has temporarily stopped the bombing in order to give the hostage release and peace deal a chance to be completed. Hamas must move quickly or else all bets will be off. I will not tolerate delay, which many think will happen, or any outcome where Gaza poses a threat again. Let's get this done fast. Everyone will be treated fairly. He gave them until 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, Washington, D.C. time, tomorrow to get all of this done. And he said, if you're a minute late, all bets are off. We're going to carpet bomb the shit out of Gaza. It's going to be unrecognizable. You're going to see the flashes from the fucking moon. It's going to be so destructive. I mean, he didn't say all that, but he did say, like, to likes of which we've never seen before. And by that, he means the absolute obliteration of the area. So I don't know if he's still sticking with that timeline, but that's the last I've heard. Last I heard was Sunday at 6 p.m. That's the deadline. The hostages have got to be in the custody of Israel within that time frame, and if not, then everything's canceled. And I guess the IDF is going to have the full green flag and the full backing of the United States to just absolute destruction. But they are making headway. Let me see if I can find that other. I got another one from Trump, I believe. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is it. After negotiations, Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal line, which we have shown to and shared with Hamas. When Hamas confirms the ceasefire will be immediately effective, the hostages and prisoner exchange will begin, and we will create the conditions for the next phase of withdrawal, which will bring us close to the end of this 3,000-year catastrophe. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and stay tuned. So, yeah, so now they're at the yellow line. I know it's hard to see, especially if you're looking at this on your phone. But, yeah, the first line was a little bit further in. They didn't really pull back all that far, but they did release last week, or no, it was on Monday of this week, that 20-point plan that Trump released. It also included this map, which showed the different withdrawal lines, and it's going to be a 3-stage process where it showed that where the IDF is currently surrounding the area, and then once we reach this phase, they're going to go back to the second line, and then once they get whatever it is that they're working on completed, then they'll pull back to the third line, and then essentially the thing will basically be over, I guess. I mean, if it goes according to plan. But yeah, man, clock's ticking, and it's ticking fast. This is going to be in less than 24 hours, I guess, when we'll find out if there's going to be a deal or not. From what I've heard, Hamas has agreed to everything except one thing, which is kind of a major thing. Once they hand the hostages over, Hamas is supposed to lay down their firearms, and they're going to be given, what is it, clemency or amnesty? I don't remember the exact word, but they're basically going to be, washed of their legal sins, so to speak. They're not going to be charged with any crimes or anything. They're going to be allowed to for any kind of passage to another country. if they want to leave the Gaza Strip and go to another country, provided that country will accept them. They will be given full passage, uninterrupted. The U.S., Israel, nobody's going to get involved with their travels. They can go wherever they want. It's all part of the process. But Hamas cannot have a seat at the table when the new government is installed. They're supposed to be installing an independent panel of individuals who are going to be tasked with rebuilding the Gaza Strip, rebuilding Palestine, and all the hospitals are going to clear out all the rubble. They're going to completely rebuild the area. However, Hamas cannot have a seat at that table. And from what I've heard so far, that's the one thing that Hamas says that they want. They want to have at least one representative at the table to be there during the rebuilding process of the area. And I'm pretty sure that's a pretty hard no. So I'm not sure if there was any progress made with regard to that. I haven't heard of anything with regard to it yet. I would be pretty surprised if Israel and the U.S. decide that that's okay, because that was just one of those 20 things that they said you have to abide these. You have to adhere to these rules. And if not, all bets are off. So we'll see. Tomorrow should be a pretty big day with regard to Hamas and Israel, U.S., that agreement, that plan. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I'll keep my eye on it. This also comes from the FBI. 9 hours ago, 8,700 arrests, 2,281 illegal firearms off the streets, 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized, which is probably enough to kill like 300 million people or something like that. That shit's extremely deadly. All from just 3 months of Operation Summer Heat, and your FBI is just getting started. Let's hear FBI Director Patel.
National Guard, and they're going to be setting up these perimeters in all these other cities thanks to the president. In 3 months, Armstrong, Summer Heat had 8,700 arrests. In 3 months, Summer Heat had 2,281 firearms seized permanently off our streets.
Look at his socks.
3 months, fentanyl, 421 kilograms. By the way, that's
American flag socks on.
700 arrests.
Look at them socks.
In 3 months, Summer Heat had 2,281 firearms seized permanently off our streets. 3 months, fentanyl, 421 kilograms. By the way, that's enough to kill over 50 million Americans.
Well, there you go. Enough to kill 50 million Americans. See, I wasn't that far off. What did I say, 300 million? Still a lot of people.
That's the beauty of having National Guard. And they're going to be setting up these perimeters in all these other cities thanks to the president. In 3 months, Armstrong.
All right. So with, let me see, 50 million, what was it? 421 kilograms. 51 million. So that's lethal doses. So what would the average addict take to get a full high? Would it be like maybe half of a lethal dose? Maybe that's like kind of the going rate. So that would be what, 25 million doses? 25 million doses. And I mean, how often does somebody take fentanyl on a daily basis? Like what, 3 times? I don't know, like maybe 3 times. I don't even know where I'm going with that, but I was trying to think like how many people would get their daily fix off of 421 kilograms of fentanyl. So I'm going to divide by 3 doses per day. So that's 8,333,333 divided by 365 days. So that's enough fentanyl to keep a daily addict who's taking fentanyl 3 times a day. That's enough for 22,831 people. That's how many addicts that would have supplied for a full year, assuming that half of the lethal dose is their normal fix. I don't know. I'm no expert on it. Maybe they walk the fine line. It would certainly appear that they do, being that they act like fucking zombies all the time, like all those people slumped over all over the place. Looks like Night of the Living Dead. Actually, like kind of like the beta soy version of Night of the Living Dead, because they barely fucking move. Anyway, it's a lot of fentanyl regardless. That's a hell of a lot. Anyway, Dr. Roger Marshall, the CBO, confirmed it. Over 2 million illegal aliens were receiving free health care funded by American taxpayers because of fraud, waste, and abuse. Republicans closed those fraud loopholes in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, Democrats want to reverse it. Let's hear what he has to say about that.
Here's another argument the Democrats are making. You know, there's a fight about health care for illegal aliens. And I don't think anyone can argue that before our working families tax cut bill, our signature bill that's going to grow the economy, that before that legislation that illegal aliens were getting health care. Even the CBO, and I hate to pick and choose when I use the CBO numbers, but the CBO said 2 million illegal aliens were getting health care subsidies or free health care because of the loose just unfettered process that states were using to verify who was eligible for Medicaid. That's not me, that's not a Republican. So the CBO said 2 million illegal aliens were getting care each year on the backs of American taxpayers. And I don't know if that number's perfectly accurate, but if it's 1 million, is it 2 million or 3 million? Certainly illegal aliens were getting free health care on the backs of American taxpayers. So when the Democrats want to go in there and gut that bill and end the fixes, the loopholes we closed, I don't know how they can look America in the eye and say that that's not the case. But regardless, I think that's a small issue. I think that's a red herring. That's not really what the issue is. There's just one more thing they can argue about to get America's eyes off the true challenge within their own party.
All right, well, a little disappointed he didn't actually show receipts. Plus, by his words, it sounded like he was just throwing out like an educated guess as to how many were benefiting. But what Democrats are doing, at least what it appears that they're doing, is that they're changing the language from aliens to non-citizens. And that way they can go out and tell everybody, no, we're not going to give health care to illegal immigrants. We're not doing that at all. Republicans are a bunch of liars. They're just lying about that. We didn't say anything about illegal immigrants. No, but they're talking about non-citizens. And I think every American, at least, well, most of them, I guess the brain-dead leftists that are out there protesting, of course, they want to give their tax money to illegal immigrants. But the vast majority of Americans don't want that to happen. And even if they're legal Americans, if they're here with a green card or a work visa or what have you, if they're not a U.S. citizen, or by what that comment that I received earlier from a truth seeker K9V, they don't have a social security number, then they shouldn't be allowed to get taxpayer-funded health care. I think that's a wonderful idea. So when the Democrats, of course, they're not saying anything about that. Like, well, no, we didn't say illegal aliens. We said non-citizens. They're not even making that argument. They're trying to pretend like even that's not happening, but that's absolutely what's happening. And plus, just the other day, on Thursday, I believe, you can go into the description of my episode and you can read the actual legislation that the Democrats came up with. It's like 57 pages. It's a PDF that you can go directly to, and it'll actually show you. Here, let me see if I can find it. Let's go to my channel. No, don't play all. I don't want to play him. I think it was this one. It's Wednesday. I know, it's Wednesday. No, it wasn't that one. I think it was this one. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. Let's take a look and see if this was the one. Yes, this is it. It was on Thursday. So this is the bill. And I'll link this in this description also if you want to check it out. But it is, it's way more. It's 68 pages, not 57. It's 68 pages. So this is what the Democrats demand that Republicans pass. Otherwise, they're not going to reopen the government. They're just going to keep saying, no, we're not going to vote for the CR bill, and the government's just going to stay closed indefinitely. And they want Republicans to sign on to this. And buried in here somewhere, somebody somewhere, and it was in the episode. They said exactly what page it was, like just off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly what page it is, but it's in here somewhere. That says that $200 billion are to be directed to the use of healthcare by non-citizens over the next 10 years. They want to give immigrants healthcare, Medicaid, for 10 years. That's what it's all about. $200 billion over a 10-year period. Absolutely insane. And yeah, the vast majority of Americans are not going to be cool with that. Regardless of who you hear it from, even if you're hearing it from Democrats, they're like, wait a minute, okay, so you're not going to get them to illegal immigrants, then who is going to get it then? Oh, non-citizens? Yeah, we're not cool with that either. Why not American citizens? There's a lot of people out there that are struggling, especially with the cost of healthcare today. No thanks to Obamacare, which absolutely wrecked our healthcare insurance industry. I mean, even people like me, like I make just a little bit too much money to be able to qualify for government assistance with healthcare, but I've got a herniated back. My fourth lumbar, I herniated it way back in 2015, but I can't afford that. I mean, my private health insurance, they require me to pay up to like $8,000 before they'll allow me to have that surgery, because I have to pay like 40% of what the procedure costs, up to $8,000. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have anywhere near that kind of money. I wish I did, but I don't. Meanwhile, an illegal immigrant, or even an immigrant that's here legally, they can get put on government-funded health care, and they can get the same procedure I need, and they won't have to pay a fucking dime. That is not cool, man. That ain't cool. And most Americans, I think, would agree with me. Rapid Response 47, it's a war. This is a full government effort to shut down these terrorists, and we will have success, says DAG Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General serving under the leadership of AG Pam Bondi. And he's talking about Antifa, by the way. Quote, it's not just the men and women on the streets, it's also the financing that's behind them. So apparently shit might actually get pretty crazy tonight. I was watching one of the live streams down there in Portland in front of the ICE facility. It was quite interesting. I'll check my X profile here in a minute, but I believe I have a video clip from that last night. A bunch of conservatives showed up. They showed up to the ICE facility and they were chanting USA. One of them had a shirt that said, "We are Charlie Kirk." It was amazing. And the dude, Nick Sordor was that journalist who was arrested because Antifa confronted him, and they kind of got into an altercation where Antifa pushed him to the ground, and the police were called, and they arrested Nick Sordor. He's a journalist. They arrested the journalist, and I don't think he laid a finger on any of them, but he got arrested anyway for not obstruction. It was something, I don't even remember. It was something along those lines. It was like a simple misdemeanor. And so, of course, the federal government heard about it. AG Pam Bondi, Secretary Kristi Noem heard about it, and they invited Nick Sordor inside the ICE building last night, and he could film from the point of view of inside the federal ICE facility. And he was there last night, standing up there on the roof with a bunch of federal agents, and those conservative guys that were down there chanting, they knew who he was because they started shouting, "Nick, Nick, Nick." It was amazing. It's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, that happened last night. So I'm sure it's going to be more of those shenanigans happening tonight. I believe it's supposed to get a lot crazier tonight because the FBI is supposed to be there. Let's see, Border Patrol, they're going to be there. I think some elements of the DEA are even showing up as backup. The military is supposed to be down there. Like the entire cavalry is supposed to be descending into Portland, like as I speak tonight. They're supposed to be there. So I'm not exactly sure if things are going to really fire off like crazy, like we've been anticipating. Guess I'll just have to wait and see. I don't know how much stuff that I liked. Oh yeah, here it is. This is it. Yep, America for Americans. We are asleep no longer. This is fucking wild, man. Check this out. USA! 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 Again, this is in Portland. Portland, Oregon. Antifa Central. So Nick Sordor's up there on the roof. Oh, you gotta love it. Antifa's over here on the left. They're over on the left somewhere.
And fuck Antifa!
They're all shouting Nick. It's almost a full moon too, by the way.
Taking the state back, baby! Let's go!
Yeah, it's hilarious. I wish they showed the guy with the "We Are Charlie Kirk" shirt. It was a white shirt, and somebody else had the Freedom shirt that Turning Point USA sells. They had the long sleeve version of that white shirt that says Freedom on it. So they were down there, and when I was watching it live last night, I almost expected Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys. I almost expected him to round the corner with like 100 Proud Boys. That would have been absolutely insane if they just showed up and just started stomping the shit out of Antifa. Yeah, that would have been some good times, but nah, that didn't happen. But all right, anyway, so I'll give this a play here.
So you were deeply involved in designating Antifa a terrorist organization.
Matt Gaetz.
What does the fight against
I would have liked to have seen him be
like
AG,
today?
Attorney General.
Antifa,
just a little irritated that he didn't end up taking the job.
This is not a peaceful protest movement. This is not a group of individuals who wants to just raise their hand and say they want things done differently. It's going to be a fight, but I will tell you, I was in meetings at the White House today. I was in meetings at the White House earlier this week on 2 occasions. This is a full government effort to shut down these terrorists, and we will have success, and it will work.
And you'll go after the finance.
Yeah, well, you have to arrest them in order to see your mission to its end. You can't just show up and just kind of act as a human blockade. You actually have to arrest all of them. Arrest them. They're pretty easy to identify. If they're dressed in black and they're covering their faces up in black and if they're walking around with black umbrellas, those are the terrorists. Arrest them.
As well.
Oh, listen, Secretary Besson...
Because they're not going to be flying those Antifa flags. I'll be surprised if they show up with those.
Treasury. I was in a meeting with him this week, and without a doubt, because you're right, Matt, it's not just about the people on the streets. They are well-funded men and women who are being paid money, who are wearing uniforms paid for by money that is not their own, to literally try to destroy this government. And in this case, ICE, but it's not just ICE. If we don't do what we're going to do over the next hockey season, it's not going to be just ICE. It's going to be the next organization. And so, yes, you better believe it's not just the men and women on the streets. It's also the financing that's behind them.
Yep, and then that's really what it's all about. They just want to burn the country down. They just want to destroy the entire system and rebuild this magical utopia that they envision. Of course, that's not possible, but they've just got it in their heads like they're going to be able to do that. But nope, that's not how it's going to work. Doesn't work that way. All right, J.D. Vance, the Democrat candidate for AG in Virginia, has been fantasizing about murdering his political opponents in private messages. What the fuck? I'm sure the people hyperventilating about sombrero memes will join me in calling for this very deranged person to drop out of the race. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but here are the screenshots of some of the texts that Democrats nominee for VA AG Jay Jones sent back in 2022, threatening the former House GOP speaker. Read Audrey Fallberg, political reporter for National Review, the full scoop in National Review for more context on the texts, which he doesn't dispute sending. So Dem AG nominee Jay Jones fantasized about shooting former Virginia GOP speaker. He receives both bullets. What the fuck is going on here? Oh, wait, hold on. Look, we got the private messages offer a disturbing glimpse into how Jones, who is looking to oust incumbent Republican Attorney General Jason Miyares this fall, describes his political adversaries in private conversations. So let's see. What? Hence the glowing tributes form. The R's, I'm assuming from the R's. Damn, that was from Mark. Sorry, Charlie. No worries. Talking about Joe Johnson, AD, but basically a R, so a Democrat, but basically a Republican, leaked everything to your caucus. It's why Gilbert gave him such a glowing tribute. And the response, I knew what you were talking about. And he says, served with my dad, who had nice words with a little choice sprinkled in. I didn't look at that. I just saw a guy died and assumed you'd have words. And then he says he was a Democrat. They say nice things about everyone, LOL. And then he goes, the J goes on to say, if those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves. What? Send them out awash in something. And then the response, J. Jones. And then he says, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. And then the response was, Jay, please stop. And then he says, LOL, okay. And then the guy responds saying, it really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, rational, sane people, they're very concerned about this fucking shit, man. These people have lost their fucking minds. They're absolutely fucking lunatics. You weren't simply asking questions and you know it. And then Jay says, I genuinely was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. And he says, you weren't trying to understand. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. And he says, yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then Democrats are in some serious trouble. And then he goes on to say, there isn't. I point blank asked you more than 3 times, and you dug in that you meant it. I honestly am questioning a lot today. Then he says, I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Yeah, these people are fucking psychotic. They're absolutely psychotic. And what's really ironic is that they don't realize it is them who are the fascists. It is them who are fucking insane. And then National Review goes on to say, then at one point, the source said he suggested he wished Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views, prompting Coiner to hang up the phone in disgust. Yeah, that's not going to get somebody to change their political views, dude. That's going to get them to come after you with a fucking vengeance. So this is the article, I believe, from National Review. Yeah, this is it. So on August the 8th of 2022, a Republican state legislator received a disturbing string of early morning text messages from a former colleague, Jay Jones, this year's Democrat nominee for Virginia Attorney General. Jones, who at the time had recently resigned from the state house after a brief stint representing Norfolk, had strong feelings about how the political class was eulogizing recently deceased former state legislator Joe Johnson Jr., a moderate Democrat with a long tenure in Virginia politics. Republican legislators like House Speaker Todd Gilbert had begun making public statements honoring Johnson's memory and political legacy, and some of those statements were making the rounds in state legislative group chats. Around 8 a.m., Jones shared those feelings with his former state legislative colleague, Republican House Delegate Kerry Coiner. In a series of text messages obtained by National Review, Jones derided Johnson's political centrism and scoffed at the glowing tributes that were being made in his honor by Republicans in the wake of his death. So this dude that he was talking about that he wished death on him was a Democrat. Even though he was a centrist, maybe classically liberal. So he was wishing like this level of just absolute horror and torment on him. And he's still a Democrat. I mean, you can only imagine what he thinks about Republicans. Fucking evil. All right, so, damn, that was from Mark. He wrote to Coiner, suggesting he meant to send those texts to someone else, and yet that realization didn't stop Jones from joking about what that POS Gilbert would say about me if I died. Then the conversation took a dark turn. So, yeah, it looks like we already covered all that. Yeah, man, absolutely insane. So the private messages offer a disturbing glimpse, and now Jones, who is looking to oust incumbent Republican Attorney General Jason Miyares this fall, describes his political adversaries in private conversations. The violent rhetoric complicates an already contentious and competitive race roughly a month out from Election Day in Virginia, where early voting began on September 19th. And that was back in 2022. Imagine what he's thinking now. Because it's like these Democrats, these far leftists, they just exponentially get more deranged, unhinged, psychotic, brain dead. Anyway, asked about the years-old text exchange, Coiner condemned Jones's rhetoric and said she sent screenshots of the conversation to Gilbert that day. She said she and Jones haven't spoken since, aside from a brief conversation about policy issues. On August 8th of 2022, I had a text conversation with Jay Jones. What he said was not just disturbing, but disqualifying for anyone who wants to seek public office. Hang on. Oh, okay. She told NR in a statement, Jay Jones wished violence on the children of a colleague and joked about shooting Todd Gilbert. It's disgusting and unbecoming of any public official. Yeah, dude's a public official. Why are you sitting there stewing in these evil-ass thoughts when you got a lot more shit to do? Like, I'm assuming this dude's probably married. He's probably got other things going on in his personal life. Why is he just sitting there and just constantly thinking about killing people? That's incredibly fucked up. It's not a type of mentality that you should expect from somebody that you're elected or electing to an official position, especially like at the level of Attorney General. I mean, are you fucking kidding? Jones and his campaign spokesperson did not respond to repeated requests for comment. Gilbert also did not respond to a request for comment. The Miyares campaign declined to comment. So anyway, it goes on quite a ways from here. There's a lot to read through. Jones was convicted in a reckless driving case after he was pulled over driving 116 miles an hour on I-64. 46 miles per hour above the speed limit. Yeah, it's probably similar to what we have in my state. In my state, if you drive over 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, it's an automatic reckless driving charge, and it's subject to getting arrested, although they often will cut you loose, but they give you a court date. No matter what, you have to appear in court if you get pulled over going 30 over. Anyways, punishment, a $1,500 fine and 1,000 community service hours, 500 of which he spent working for his own political action committee. They shouldn't have allowed that. That's bullshit. They should have put his ass in fucking Goodwill. A remarkably convenient sentence for a crime that can land convicts in jail for up to a year. Wow, dude. This dude's fucking dirty as hell, man. Why the fuck would anybody vote for this asshole? Well, because it's blue no matter who. That's why. So, yeah, man. Fucking wild. Absolutely crazy, dude. I'm glad I don't live in freaking Virginia, man. What's wrong with you all over there in Virginia? You know, even allowing him to get to the point where he could be considered for election. You should stand no fucking chance. You should have been charged with felonies or some shit. At least it seems that like he probably should have been. Anyway, so this is from Secretary Kristi Noem. Today in Chicago, so this was already covered in one of those segments, but members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon. I'm deploying more special operations to control the scene. Reinforcements are on their way. If you see a law enforcement officer today, thank them. Got 46,000 likes so far, 1.2 million views, over 3,000 people commented on it. This is from AG Pam Bondi. Our civil rights team, led by AAG Dillon, is incredible. We will make sure our patriots are rightfully defended. Replying to AAG Harmeet Dillon, Portland police arresting journalists such as Nick Sordor while giving Antifa goons a free pass is unjust and will not stand in this Justice Department. Portland's citizens deserve better from their local law enforcement. Investigation is underway. Let's go.
You just announced the official civil rights investigation into the Portland Police Bureau. What can you tell us about your investigation?
Well, especially when dude's a member of the press. Nick Sordor, I'm sure he's got press credentials, which I didn't see it in the video, wasn't honestly looking, but he may have even had his credentials around his neck, possibly. Maybe in a lanyard or something, and they still fucking arrested him.
Well, thank you for having me today. And this is indeed the type of rapid response that Americans have gotten used to from our Department of Justice under Pam Bondi. She called me this morning about this. I'd already been following the case, and within a couple of hours, we'd opened up our investigation. So here's the background. The Portland Police Department has absolutely failed to protect the people of Portland going back well over a decade. They've been in the crosshairs of the United States Department of Justice dating back to 2010. A federal consent decree was actually issued against Portland's police department in 2012. They tried to delay it by a couple of years, but it went into effect 11 years ago in 20.
Well, and also you might remember back in 2020 during the Summer of Love when they were rioting like crazy in Portland against that federal building. It might be the same building that they're standing in front of right now, but they were tagging it up, graffitiing it, throwing stuff at it, and they called it a siege or whatever. That was going on for like, 2 months or something like that, maybe even longer than that. But that was going on, and in the middle of all that mayhem, the mayor of Portland, Oregon, showed up to this crowd of people. Probably over 1,000 people were down there, and I think he had a megaphone or something, and he was yelling at the crowd of all these far leftists, saying, "I'm on your side. You've got my full support. I'm your mayor, and keep fighting the good fight. Hashtag Black Lives Matter." He was saying all that shit down there, and it's the mayor of Portland. The mayor of Portland, he's got jurisdiction over the police department. The Portland police answer to the mayor. The police chief answers to the mayor. I'm pretty sure that's how the hierarchy goes. And isn't it the mayor who appoints the police chief? And that means the mayor could fire the police chief and replace him with whoever the hell he wants. I'm pretty sure that's how it works down on the local level. So, yeah. So that's kind of the bullshit that Portland's dealing with.
2014. Since that time, as we've all seen on the television, there have been numerous riots with Antifa over the last 5 years. And while Portland was temporarily sort of in the about to get out of the consent decree.
I mean, why would he even let him shove him one single time? The guy lays a finger on him. That's assaulting a federal officer. That comes with up to, again, a 20-year prison sentence.
Phase, because of its failure to properly arrest people, document what was happening on the streets, keep people safe, they haven't gotten out of the consent decree. So what we're doing today is actually under the purview of an existing federal consent decree over bad
no, you don't
practices.
Get a fucking phone call.
We issued a very detailed letter this morning demanding to know
phone call D's
why a journalist was arrested, why a second journalist, Katie Davenport, who was viciously assaulted earlier this week, where the police had the assailants temporarily in custody and let them go and did nothing about it. Why does it seem like the Portland police are actually working for Antifa as opposed to the people of Portland?
Yeah, they are. That is what they're doing. That's absolutely what they're doing. They are working for Antifa. And they've already said, they came out, I believe it's an official statement. They said that if there's a gathering of, I'm sure they didn't use the word Antifa. They said, I don't know, like protesters, peaceful protesters or whatever, that they won't intervene. So if Antifa gathers and, I don't know, a dozen of them or more, they can wreak havoc anywhere in the city. They could probably walk into a grocery store and just snatch whatever the hell they want, and the police won't do anything. They'll just let them do whatever they want. So even if they're assaulting innocent civilians, just locals who pay their local taxes, they're paying for the police department to exist, they're not going to help that citizen at all. They're just going to let them get assaulted, and they're not going to arrest anybody. In fact, after the whole Nick Sordor thing, there's a good chance that that citizen who was assaulted, they're going to get arrested for doing absolutely fucking nothing. Just minding their own business. All right, so I got through that one. All right, DOW Rapid Response, America's Secretary of War. This was posted 8 hours ago, about 2 o'clock this afternoon. And that, I believe, is PDX Seth right here. This was, I believe, at the Naval Academy. I think. All right. Charging them up, man. That was cool. Yeah, they had a football game. What was it? The Navy versus the Air Force, I think. And I believe the Navy won. Because he was in the locker room also. Let me see if I can find that. I don't know if it was on this or if it was on Pete Hexet's page. Yeah, he's there doing push-ups with him. Hilarious. Oh, shit. That's hilarious.
That's how we do this. That's how we do that away.
Well, I'd say he's probably the coolest Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War that we've probably ever seen. So this is the one that I was looking for. So he gave a post-game locker room speech after Navy's 34-31 victory over the Air Force. So I'll give it a watch. I didn't watch the video earlier. I just saw that it was posted.
Nothing else matters. You got it done.
Yes,
sir. You got it done. In fact, the best wins are the ones where it takes you a while. Defense doesn't show up right away. Offense doesn't show up right away. Listen, you're hearing this from a all-conference honorable mention.
Wow, man.
Forest Lake High School, Minnesota. I didn't go deep. I ran slant routes right across the middle. Let me tell you, I couldn't respect more what you did. You pounded through the game. When you needed a stop at the end, you got the big stop. When you needed a first down, you got the first down. That's going to be your life, not just in this game, but for the rest of your life when you're wearing a different kind of uniform. There's going to be shitty days. There's going to be tough days. There's going to be frustrations. You're going to have bad leaders. You're going to have good leaders, clear missions, and missions with no clarity at all. And what you do in those moments is what's going to be the difference between life and death for the men, for the Americans, for the sailors, for the SEALs, for the Marines that you lead in the future. You are their compass. They will look to you, just like you look to your quarterback or your linebackers or your O-line to say, hey, I'm on you, I'm on your back, we're going north. You did that today. I love the Air Force. They don't have it on you today.
Yeah, my family's Air Force. My grandfather's in the Air Force. My father's in the Air Force. My brother is currently in the Air Force. They wouldn't let me in because I'm half deaf.
I don't know if you saw, gave a little speech on Tuesday.
Total bonus.
That's right. He's big. That's right. No more beardos. 2 PT tests, no matter who you are. Standards, discipline, accountability, readiness, all the things you hear from your professors, from the soup, from your coach, and from your commanders. It's the basics. It's blocking and tackling of leadership, of command. That's what you're learning here. That's what your formations need. That's what the country needs. And all I know, and I never did anything near what all of you have done here at this academy, at this institution. All I know, when I was a young rifle platoon leader, all I wanted to know is that my commander had my back. When I had to do difficult things, when I had to do things in dangerous places in the middle of the night, did they have my back, even if I make a mistake? Let me tell you this, from President Trump to all of you, we have your back. The nation has your back. Your leadership has your back. Stick to it. Fight like hell. Do what you did on the field today, and America will never, ever go wrong. QB, where's my QB? Well done. Well done. Where's my linebackers in here? All right. Right? Who's the defensive captain? Away. I hope and pray, all glory to God, I hope and pray that someday one of my sons or daughter decides to make the decision you made at the age you made it. You put something bigger than yourself. You chose something bigger than yourself on day one. That means something. You have my respect because of it. And I'm going to work my ass off along with everybody we work with to make sure you have everything you need whenever you need it in the formations you have. Gentlemen, men, warriors, go Navy. Let's go.
All right, there you have it. All right, good times. Yeah, I didn't catch the game. I don't watch football. I don't watch any sports. But, I mean, I understand how football works. I've watched a lot of football, but Never been into sports. Anyway, I mean, look, I know enough about football to know that was a high-scoring game. That would have been an exciting game to see. What was it, like 34-31 or something like that? Yeah, that would have been a hell of a good game to watch. I mean, they televise that, don't they? I'm pretty sure they do. I'm sure it was on TV today. Hey, look at this. Speaking of which, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, he put that out. That's Gary Varville, I think. Oh man, is he the one that does what was it, Bulldog or something like that? I can't remember the name of it. I might not be thinking of the right person. It might be somebody else. He's a political cartoonist. But yeah, anyway, Department of War, Pete Hegseth kicking out the woke culture, the DEI military with the upgraded LGBTQ flag with the triangle. They don't have the little butthole circle on it though. But anyway, so that was kind of hilarious. From Lee Zeldin. Yeah, he was on Gutfeld last night. You know what? I'm going to go. I'll do this one first, but then I'll try to find the segment from Gutfeld, because I did mention that yesterday that I was going to take a look at that, see if I could play a clip next time I did a video. But yeah, he was on, Lee Zeldin was on Gutfeld last night. Apparently he's one of the fan favorites, I suppose. At least that's what was said. That I guess the last time he was on Gutfeld, I guess must have been a fun time. I don't have cable TV, so I don't watch it. Even though I probably could watch Gutfeld on YouTube, probably. I never honestly really even thought to check out YouTube, see if they post the whole thing. They probably don't, but maybe they do. Anyway, all year long, the Trump EPA has been making big moves to reorganize, do more with less, cancel wasteful grants, deregulate, consolidate real estate, eliminate media contracts, and much more, all while fulfilling our statutory obligations, empowering the great American comeback. And we are just getting started.
In general, will the administration, make non-essentials non-essential on a permanent basis?
We've been working on this all year long, as I mentioned. We're doing a full reorganization of our headquarters and all 10 of our regions. We're going to fulfill all of our statutory obligations. You have the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, TSCA, CERCLA, RCRA, you name it. There are a bunch of laws that give EPA requirements. And the president has his
you got to do what you got to do.
Priorities, and we are going to accomplish both. And if you're inside of the EPA and you're not working on one of those two things, you're non-essential. You don't belong here.
Oh man, they're talking about going after the non-essential workers. Well, as long as the government shut down, that's one of the things the president can do, because essentially the legislators, I guess when the government's closed, that they really. I mean, they could probably still pass legislation, I would think, while the government's shut down. But yeah, apparently a lot of power is sent over to the president of the United States with regard to downsizing the government, because the government's closed right now because there's no money. They ran out of money. So what do you do when you don't have any money and you got a government? Well, you got to start downsizing it. You got to find the money somewhere. So it sounds like that they have over 700,000 federal employees to choose from that are considered non-essential. And I'm assuming that's what he's talking about with the EPA. The one thing I hope that he's going to do, which he already said that they're working on right now, is deregulating the gas mileage for everyday vehicles. Just, new vehicles, light pickup trucks, and they're not going to try to. He said that they're going to either, I don't know if they're going to outright get rid of it or if they're just going to roll back the required mile per gallon with regard to manufacturing of new vehicles. But right now, it's like 41 or 42 miles to the gallon for pickup trucks, which is insane. So they've had to re-engineer these engines to be able to get 40 miles to the gallon. And it's been a catastrophe, man. Like these new vehicles, they're probably not going to last much over 100,000 miles. They've been turned into disposable vehicles, essentially. And a lot of it is because they had to re-engineer it to the point where it had to get this insane amount of gas mileage, which completely gets rid of V8s. Now you've got these twin turbo V6 monstrosities that are apparently getting loaded up with carbon because they're recycling the emissions that should be going right out the tailpipe. They're recycling it back into the engine over and over again, which is causing significant carbon buildup. Plus, they're GDI engines, which is gasoline direct injection, and where the gas is being injected into the engine, it's put under like 200 some odd pounds of pressure, which is a hell of a lot more fuel pressure in the engine than the old school engines. The port injected engines, they only undergo like 16 or 20 pounds of pressure. So in a very simplified way, the port injected engines, those can go 400,000 miles, whereas these new gasoline direct injected engines, they're not getting anywhere near the longevity that the port injected engines get. And that's basically all the cars they're making these days, with the exception of a few. I know there's still a few Hondas that they're still making to this day that are port injected. So, but yeah, gasoline direct injection, the maintenance has to be a little more meticulous with regard to the intake. And they sell what's called a GDI intake spray. And you're supposed to use that to spray into your intake, your air intake. Not before your air filter, but after your air filter. There's a sensor in your air intake that you cannot spray that spray into it because it'll ruin that sensor. But you're supposed to spray it like right into your throttle body while the engine's running. And that spray it's supposed to clean out that carbon, but you have to do it like every 10,000 miles because you got to make sure that you do that before enough carbon builds up to the point where it's not going to be able to break down the amount of carbon that builds up. But apparently if you use that spray, it's called GDI intake spray or valve intake spray, something like that. They sell it at AutoZone and all those other places. But if you use that on a regular basis, it's supposed to help prevent that carbon from building up in the first place, and your engine will probably last at least twice as long, if not longer than that. But hopefully they're going to roll back those mile per gallon regulations, and then the auto manufacturers can hopefully get back to basics with regard to their engines. I mean, they've got all of these different engine platforms from the 1990s, from the 2000s. They're not going to have to re-engineer it. I'm sure they've already got the blueprints right there. They could probably tweak their machines and their robots to start producing these engines that we used to enjoy back in the 90s and 2000s that lasted forever. I don't know if they're actually going to do it. I really hope they do. It's going to really cut back on a lot of costs for the manufacturers, and therefore they would be able to sell them at a reduced price because the average American, they're having kind of a little bit of trouble affording $50,000 new vehicles, which is right about the average of the new car today. And I mean, pickup trucks, I think they're like, what, 60,000 now? And you've got the GMCs and the Rams, like those Ram pickup trucks, they're over 100 grand now. Absolutely insane. And they've been that way for a few years at this point because they're over-engineering the hell out of them, and they're putting over 30,000 different parts in vehicles these days, which is why they cost so damn much. And a lot of it has to do with the EPA. So hopefully he's going to scale back on that quickly, and even more, hopefully, the auto manufacturers will actually start doing exactly what I'm hoping that they're going to do, and they're going to start simplifying the engines again so they can actually last as long as people really need them to last. Because look, if I'm going to pay $50,000 for a vehicle, it's going to be the last vehicle I'll ever drive for the rest of my life. But the way they're engineering them today, they're making damn sure it ain't going to be the last vehicle you drive, because once you hit 100,000 miles, it's going to start breaking down like crazy. I mean, even the oil pans are made out of plastic now. The oil drain plugs are made out of plastic now. They're making everything out of plastic so they can reduce the weight of the vehicle so it can be on par with that mile per gallon requirement. So you get all of these parts that are made of plastic. None of these parts should be made out of plastic that they're making out of plastic now. And it's just absolutely destroying the life of these vehicles. Pretty much anything that's been manufactured after, 2020? Maybe after, 2018. I know 2018 was when, probably wasn't the EPA, but the federal government started requiring backup cameras as a requirement for all vehicles. So if your car is at least a 2018, it has to be equipped with a backup camera. And it's ridiculous. It's like, what, the average American can't just look over their shoulder? We seem to get along pretty well without them for the longest ass time. I mean, my car was built in 1998 and obviously doesn't have a backup camera. I got no problem turning around and making sure nobody's behind me. But anyway, whatever. Here, I'll just finish this off.
You can take action.
We'll keep it up.
Does it make it easier? The shutdown? I mean, they're not funded, obviously, for the year. So you have that. And the question is executive branch authority exercised by the president. I mean,
that's right. Important point. One of the things you could do, and you know well, when making these decisions, you analyze authorities, legal risk, and then you make decisions. And it is a door that is open by Democrats continuing this shutdown.
Yes.
Not only are the sombreros going to grow 10 feet higher on President Trump's social media accounts, but the powers of these agency heads administering the president's agenda and directives, it only gets easier.
Oh my God, dude, the Democrats are so easy to troll. They get so ass hurt over it. It's so hilarious. They just can't take a joke, because if somebody on their side was to pull something like that against another Democrat, they'd cancel the shit out of him. How dare you? It's just funny, man. Like the left, they can't meme, they can't make jokes because they're bound to offend somebody, because that's comedy. Comedy is always going to offend somebody. But they can't offend anybody because they've completely eaten up their fucking cancel culture. All right, anyway, all right, this comes from Rokana. What do people think about giving working class Americans a $2,000 tariff relief check for the unfair tax that has driven their grocery and housing prices up? So you use Joe Biden, who's going to jack up the cost of everything, a Democrat, and then you're going to use another Democrat that's going to give all this money to everyday people, which, do you remember what happened during COVID with the stimulus checks? Remember what happened to inflation after all that money was dumped into the entire system? It wasn't just the stimulus checks. It was the PPP loans and also the rent moratoriums. There were programs that were paying people's rent. All of it just being mass printed that just was developed out of nothing. They just printed money that was not labored over. And obviously, when that happens, it causes inflation to skyrocket. So his answer to that is just start cutting $2,000 checks to everybody while blaming Trump, while blaming his tariffs, which they still haven't shown me any evidence at all that shows that tariffs have caused everyday goods to go up. There's been a few things. I heard Tide. I guess Tide, they raised their price of their detergent by like a quarter or something like that. So there's a few products out there where they said that because of the tariffs, we have to raise just a little bit, like 1%, 2%, 3%. But yet they're blaming Trump's tariffs, which they don't have any, look, they never show any evidence. They don't show anything. Democrats never show evidence about any of the shit that they're talking about. And I keep putting that on blast over and over again every day. I mention that at least once. Just show me a sheet of paper, show me a PDF, show me something that has some source on it, especially a government source, something .gov, that actually shows me that, okay, yeah, this list of products that's substantially long. We've got 175 different products that everyday Americans have to buy, something like laundry detergent, but they don't have any of that because they're full of shit. Anyway, Unusual Whales breaking. Representative Rokana, a California Democrat, is proposing $2,000 payments to Americans who make under $100,000. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's going to be another inflation catastrophe. So if that were to get passed by Congress, I would assume Trump would have to sign that into law, right? But maybe not. Maybe Congress could bypass President Trump and just start cutting checks to everybody. But if they were able to do that, you know inflation's going to go up because that's what happens. And then they're going to blame the inflation on Trump. That's how the Democrats' game works. It's absolutely stupid. And from Senator Rand Paul. So a lot of people are pissed off at Senator Rand Paul because he voted against the CR bill. He voted with the Democrats to close the government. And so a lot of people are mad about it. But so anyway, this is what he had to say on the matter. I won't vote to increase spending, and I won't back down to Democrats pushing Obamacare subsidies for illegal immigrants. I fought for real cuts, including foreign aid, and I won't stand by while both parties try to undo that process or progress. So essentially what he's saying is that he didn't necessarily vote with the Democrats. He didn't vote with them. He just voted no on passing more spending, which I could kind of respect. Although that's not how everybody's viewing it. Everybody's viewing it that he just voted right along with the Democrats because he voted no against passing the bill. But he's doing it for a very different reason. He's doing it not because he wants the insurance money for illegal immigrants. He's voting against it because he doesn't want them to increase the amount of spending that they're, I guess, proposing, which I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was just the status quo. This is just another one of those bills. I mean, Republicans keep saying that we've passed this exact same CR bill 13 times under Biden, and Democrats voted for it every time. So to me, it sounds like it's just going to be just another regular bill, spending bill with no change. And they keep saying that. They keep saying that we didn't make any changes to this bill. It's the same bill that we've been voting on over and over again. So maybe Senator Rand Paul, maybe he's voted against all of those other ones, possibly. Or maybe he's voted for them before, maybe very reluctantly, and maybe he's had enough at this point. I'm not so sure. But anyway, here's a 4.5-minute video
from Kentucky,
of Rand Paul on Fox
is the
News.
chair of the Homeland Security Committee. He's the only Senate Republican to vote against this GOP spending bill. Senator Paul, good to have you with us. We showed that 71%, according to the Gallup poll, disapprove of Congress. Obviously, that's a pretty ugly number for the place where you work. Why do you think that
that's
is?
not new.
And why did you vote against this bill?
Everybody always hates Congress.
When you look at polls of Congress, everybody hates Congress in the generic.
As I just said.
But people tend to like their own congressman a lot better than that. So most incumbents actually have the reverse of those numbers. What I would say about the spending bills is I
like my Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, although I don't agree with her on a lot of things, though.
Whether it will add to the debt or save us money. The Republican plan adds about $2 trillion to the debt. The Democrat plan would add about $3 trillion to the debt. I'm just not.
So is he talking about this CR bill, or is he talking about the bill that's coming up in 4 weeks that they're going to vote on? Because the bill in 4 weeks is the bill that's going to be for the next fiscal year, whereas the bill that they voted on September 30th was a bill that only carried the government from September 30th or October 1st until the end of November, I think it is. Isn't it? I think it's like the end of November when they're up for that next fiscal year bill. I'm assuming that's the bill he's talking about. But even still, he voted against this bill, the temporary one that only gets us to that next spending bill.
For piling on more. We have a $37 trillion debt. Somebody's got to do something about it. Someone has.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with him more on that. I mean, I highly respect him for that. And now I'm pretty much at the point right off the bat that I'm like, okay, yeah, now I can see why you voted against it. If that's the stance that he's taken, that he wants to get down the national deficit, couldn't agree more. It's only going up and up. We've already gotten over $1 trillion that we have to spend on just interest of the debt. So if taxpayers have to pay $1 trillion a year and we put all of that money in toward the deficit, it's not going to bring down the principal a dime. It's only going to hold it where it's at. Matter of fact, I think it's $1.2 trillion that we have to pay in interest on the debt. Just like a credit card. You know, when you only pay the interest that you owe, the balance is still going to be the same. If you just keep paying them that same amount of money, you're going to have that same balance for the rest of your life. You're just going to be like infinitely paying them interest till the day you die. And $1.2 trillion is the interest. That's a lot of money. I've already done the math. It's like almost $6,000 per American, including children. Every single American citizen. If you take 340 million Americans, and if you divide 1.2 trillion divided by that amount, that's how much each American has to pay each year. It's in the thousands of dollars. And that's if the national deficit doesn't move right now. If it only holds at 37 trillion, which we know it's not, because as Rand Paul just said, they want to increase it another $2 trillion. So now it's going to be almost $40 trillion. Every time that number goes up, the interest goes up with it. 1.2 trillion. Next year, it's going to be 1.4 trillion. Next year, it's going to be 1.5 trillion. Next year, You know, within 5 years, we're going to be paying $2 trillion worth of interest. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, like, well, in what, 15 years, maybe in 20 years from now, we're going to have to pay like $3-something trillion in interest. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be so much interest that the government won't have any money for literally anything. The government won't, like, what are they going to do when they reach that point? Are we just going to say, oh, well, we can't afford the interest, we're just not going to pay it anymore? It makes me wonder if they've got some long-term plan with maybe switching us over to crypto or doing some sort of digital currency where we're just going to move away from the dollar and jump into this currency, and then we're going to tell everybody who holds all of America's debt, we're just going to say, well, we don't actually use that currency anymore, so sorry. Yeah, because that's not going to fire off World War III. It fucking will. Absolutely.
To take a stand, and there needs to be a conservative wing of the Republican Party, and sometimes I'm it. Right now, I am it. I'm opposed to deficit spending. I proposed an alternative, the penny plan, which would balance over 5 years, and I will vote for that. I will vote for something that has
if it works,
less
man, I'm
deficit,
all for that.
But I'm not voting for a $2 trillion deficit. The one irony here, though, for Democrats is these are the Biden spending levels from December of last year. Every Democrat in the Senate voted for this bill last year before they voted against it today.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
With regard to this discussion.
Now, look, we've already found out. It's crystal clear what Democrats are really doing with regard to this. It has nothing to do with spending and has everything to do with fuck Orange Man. That's it.
Over extending the Obamacare health subsidies, which explain in your own words this battle over whether or not this is a program that pays for health benefits for illegal immigrants in the country.
Well, realize why
I'm
this
sure he's
is
against
not
that too.
in the CR. This spending was put in by Democrats. No Republicans voted for it, and it was set to expire. It was put in as a temporary
November
program
30th.
during the pandemic, and it was scheduled to expire. That's why it's going to expire, or it would be.
Yes, and I have been saying that for the last week or so on my show, The Swamp, Monday through Friday, that this $200 billion that they're proposing for illegal immigrants, it's part of tax credits that were implemented during COVID. I think it was like in early 2021. I believe it was when Biden recently got in, and they passed these tax credits that are to be applied to health insurance that artificially brings down people's premiums because it was supposed to alleviate people during COVID because everything got crazy expensive. So this is a tax credit that was never meant to go on forever. It was only supposed to get us through the COVID period. And it had a 5-year span. And it's due to expire, I think it's on November 30th. And Democrats, that's why they keep saying, your healthcare is going to double. Everybody's healthcare is going to double. Everyone's healthcare is going to skyrocket. Because this tax credit is due to expire. Because COVID is fucking over. It's over. We have to let it expire. And their healthcare premiums, they're not necessarily going to skyrocket. They're just going to return back to exactly where they were before COVID, maybe adjusted for inflation. So it might go up a little bit more than where it was before COVID, but that's just the way it has to be.
Part of the CR. Whether or not illegal aliens get these benefits is a debatable question. There may be written rules that say they shouldn't, but the question is, do they? A good example of this is in voting. Illegals are not supposed to vote, but the superintendent of schools in Des Moines was receiving $300,000 and was registered to vote and was voting.
He was registered. He was a registered Democrat. Illegal immigrant, registered to vote, became the superintendent of the largest school district in the state of Iowa.
In Maryland. It's illegal for an illegal alien to vote, but they are voting. So I think both sides might be correct on this. But the bottom line is, will Democrats be able to keep up this ironic or hypocritical?
That is exactly why they're fighting tooth and nail to keep illegal immigrants here. Because I bet a lot more of them are registered to vote than we might think. Which, at the end of the day, do you really think that's going to stop Democrats from casting those ballots? Even if we removed all those illegal immigrants from the country, you think that they're still going to quietly still cast those ballots? Oh, you bet your ass they will.
Critical view of voting against something they did vote for only 9 months ago. I think they cave within a few days. They'll eventually say, well, the president has now promised to negotiate over the Obamacare subsidies. That's the way this will end. And the negotiation, though, will ensue after the government opens back up.
So I know you were in favor of DOJ cuts, which we haven't heard a lot about lately.
No, we haven't.
Do you think it's meaningful? Here's President Trump real quick on this, and then I want to just ask you for a quick answer, if I could, Senator, out of this.
If DOJ is already reducing the federal workforce, why is it necessary to link more federal jobs cut to a shutdown?
Because it reduces spending, you moron.
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people.
Will that actually happen?
Yeah.
There's a lot of debate over whether or not
700,000
those
worth.
people would just be furloughed.
I say go for
I
it.
think it depends on how long the shutdown is, but government does need to shrink.
It's gonna be a
because
record,
our
I
deficit
think.
is still $2 trillion a year. DOGE did some good things, but that's another problem with the current CR, is it wipes out those things. Foreign aid will come back. So all the cuts we got to foreign aid through the rescission packages and through DOGE, which I supported and wholeheartedly still support, they're coming back with the CR. The Republican CR reinstitutes foreign aid.
No shit? For real? Okay, well, I wasn't aware of that.
There are a lot of things that are in the details that people need to learn about this.
A lot of work to take another step backward. And as you pointed out, taxpayers paying
Yeah, dude, like Republicans certainly failed to mention that. They keep saying it's the same CR we've been passing for years. We haven't changed anything. It's only 16 pages. It's very clean. Remember they keep calling it the clean CR? It's the clean CR bill. Well, that was pretty revealing.
$5 trillion, and the expenditures are $7 trillion. So it doesn't work out that well in any other environment except the government. Thank you very much, Senator Paul.
All right, well, I'm definitely on Rand Paul's side on that. If everything he said is legit, yeah, I definitely understand why he voted against it, for sure. Especially if it's going to reinstate all of that foreign funding that Doge got rid of. If the CR bill just reinstates all of it, then what the fuck was Doge for in the first place? And maybe that was part of the reason why Elon Musk left pissed off. Probably because he understood that. He understood that, like, all of this shit, like the months of time that he devoted, the richest man on earth, like he doesn't have other things that going on in his life that he could be using his time for. Because, you know, somebody who's worth that amount of money and that's running these amount of companies, he probably looks at his time as completely invaluable or even valuable. I don't, you know, like he's got what, like 10 days left or 10,000 days left of his lifetime. I'm sure he looks at it in that way. And he took a large chunk of his life and he put it into trying to make the government more efficient just to see another funding bill passed to like undo everything that Doge did. That's fucking bullshit. If that's true, which it wouldn't surprise me for a second. Because this, at the end of the day, this is the federal government. Anyway, so moving on to FBI Director Kash Patel. Maduro isn't just corrupt, and that's the leader of Venezuela. He's an indicted narco-terrorist dictator with a $50 million DOJ bounty. Yeah, if you have any possible way of getting Maduro into your custody and you turn him into the federal government, they'll give you a $50 million check. Under my leadership, the FBI is choking off every dollar, every account, every enabler. America will never be a safe haven for his blood money. The FBI busts alleged Maduro-linked money laundering network spanning multiple nations. And I think he linked the article below. Yeah, he did. Oh, wait, what was underneath that? Oh, Secretary Rubio gets it. Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the Cartel de los Soles, a narco-terror organization which has taken possession of a country. Fuck. And he is under indictment for pushing drugs into the United States. Maybe they should be invaded. I don't know. Look, I know, especially conservatives these days, they're very anti-war. And I think a lot would be reluctant to do so. But if they can prove that the majority of the drugs that we're getting imported into our country is coming from Venezuela, that seems to make a pretty good case for invading the country, because up to 100,000 Americans are dying from drug overdoses each year. I would say that would make it a pretty fucking good reason. But then I guess you would have to make the other argument, well, what about the cartels in Mexico? They deliver a pretty significant amount. Plus there's Colombia. I'm sure there's cartels in Colombia. They're probably getting a lot of drugs through somehow too. So it's not just exclusively Venezuela. So if we're going to invade a country with regard to stopping the flow of drugs into our country, you might have to make a similar argument for having to invade Mexico and having to go in and after Colombia. And at what end? I mean, like you can't cause the coca plant to be completely extinct. I'm sure that's not going to be exactly possible. So I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to fix that. Because, I mean, getting Maduro, is that really going to stop this whole narco-terrorist thing? It just sounds like something that's just going to persist. They'll just replace him with somebody else. That's pretty much how the cartels work, I think. So anyway, the FBI says 2 men have been indicted in connection with an alleged money laundering scheme tied to Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro's children. The indictments come after a years-long investigation that dates back to 2019 when the FBI's Miami field office launched the probe based on indications that Eric Komarczyk, I don't know, sounds Polish, I don't know. Anyway, opened U.S. bank accounts for Maduro's children and their U.S.-based associates. Suspicious activity reports allegedly showed that Komarczyk received wire transfers from individuals and businesses in Venezuela, according to the FBI. An undercover operation in 2022 revealed that Komarczyk and his associate Erasmar Carbajal agreed to move $100,000 of what the FBI believed to be sanctioned money belonging to members of Venezuela's government. The FBI said the men moved about $25,000 into the U.S., so that's not that much money, but still, it's still money laundering. The Bureau noted that when confronted about the situation, Komarczyk was not alarmed. Rather, he called it sexy business. Okay. All right, FBI Director Kash Patel said money laundering schemes linked to Maduro were criminal lifelines for his regime. So he's Maduro, he's an indicted narco-terrorist, $50 million bounty. Let's see, criminal lifelines of a failing dictatorship. They're talking about money laundering. Let's see, September 25th, both Komarczyk and Carbajal were indicted in Florida. And he was indicted on charges of money laundering and conspiracy to commit unlicensed money transmitting, while Carbajal was indicted for conspiracy to commit unlicensed money transmitting. See, I thought they were going to say like billions of dollars. I thought it was going to be something like absolutely crazy. I mean, we're talking $125,000. It's not very much, but I get it. You know, every little bit is something. So anyway, that'll be linked if you want to check that out. Down below. Attorney General Pamela Bondi. The attempted assassination of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh was a disgusting attack against our entire judicial system by a profoundly disturbed individual. The Justice Department will be appealing the woefully insufficient sentence imposed by the district court, which does not reflect the horrific facts of this case. Yeah, so on Friday, they sentenced the transgender person who tried to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh, and he only got 8 years. Only 8 years. That's it. See? From yours truly. 8 years. That's it. Absolutely unfucking believable. Tried to kill a Supreme Court justice, and the DOJ prosecutors were seeking 30 years, and the judge gave him 8. Just 8. Absolutely insane. So yeah, needless to say, the Justice Department ain't that happy about it, but I mean, yeah, they'll appeal it, but I highly doubt that they're going to get anything in the appellate court. They might. Maybe they will. But I got a feeling he's probably going to get 8 years. That's probably going to be what sticks. So a federal judge sentenced Nicholas Roski, who now goes by Sophie, to 8 years in prison on Friday for attempting to murder Justice Brett Kavanaugh in the weeks leading up to the Supreme Court's landmark Dobbs decision. The sentence was far lower than what the Department of Justice had sought. Prosecutors said Roski should face at least 30 years because they want to set an example. If you go after the Supreme Court and you try to kill one of them, and even if you're unsuccessful at doing so, you should be locked up for a fuckload amount of time. Like 30 years, for instance. So, so the defense team asked for 8. And that's what's really appalling about it. The defense team asked the judge for 8 years, and the judge gave them exactly that. Which begs the question, what if they asked for 5 years? You think the judge would have said, okay, 5 years? Judge Deborah Boardman said during the sentencing hearing that while Roski's actions were reprehensible, the judge also considered a string of mitigating factors, including that Roski spontaneously confessed to and cooperated with the police. Yeah, there's still no excuse. So if you cooperate with the police, you get the minimum sentence no matter what? That's ridiculous. I believe Miss Roski... See, here's the judge. It's a woke judge. I believe Miss Roski understands that what she did was terribly wrong. I find her remorse sincere. Okay, so which prison is she going to? Is she going to a women's prison or a men's prison? If she is going to a men's prison, then how come you're not addressing this person by their biological sex? Because it sounds like you might be maybe an Obama judge, maybe a Biden judge. DOJ prosecutor Corrine Mao said the sentence must send the very strong, very clear message that the ends never justify violent means. And see, that's the problem with our courts. Our courts are gradually pulling to the left to the point where we're getting these activist judges. And I think once that system is fully compromised, what else is there? I think maybe our system's completely fucked. It's a wrap. I guess the only thing that really kind of keeps the powers in check is the Second Amendment, I guess. I mean, that's kind of the final stand, really. But once you get the entire judiciary corrupted, not the Supreme Court, but I'm just talking across the federal system and even the state system, what like we got really nothing left to stand on as far as justice is concerned. That would be a very one-sided, if you're on the left, you get extra special treatment, but if you're on the right, you're never going to get out, even if you do something as much as jaywalk. They're going to throw you in prison for 20 years. So anyway, and look, if they give you that harsh of a penalty, even if you want to try to stand on your constitutional rights, like cruel and unusual punishment, the appeals court, far left, they're going to say, nope, denied. That's it, denied. Off to jail with you. Absolutely insane, man. But it's a pretty dark looking future, but it just, like, what are we going to do to stop it other than just try to, wake up as many people as we can, or try to stop the left from indoctrinating more and more of our children? Anyway, let's see. During the hearing, Boardman referred to Roski as a transgender woman, and Roski's attorneys told the court recently that while their client's legal name is Nicholas, Roski goes by the name Sophie and uses female pronouns. There you go. Boardman's a Biden appointee. How did I know that? She factored into the sentence her concern about Trump's executive order requiring transgender inmates to be detained in prisons that correspond to their sex at birth. Oh, so the judge wants who is it? What's his real name again? Nicholas. She wants Nicholas to go to a women's prison. Roski pleaded guilty in April to one charge of attempting to murder a Supreme Court justice, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. Attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice, 8 years. That's the precedent that they're setting. So you could try to kill a Supreme Court justice, and guess what? You're only going to get 8 years. That's it, just 8 years. However, do you think the judge would have given the same sentence to someone who identified as a right-winger? Do you think the right-winger would have gotten an 8-year sentence, or even a non-transgender white male? What if it was a white male? Do you think he would have gotten 8 years? I doubt it. I somehow doubt that. I bet he wouldn't. I bet he would have gotten a lot more than 30 years. All right. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, 17 hours ago. Quote, I really wish the Portland mayor would actually go out there at night when the sun goes down and actually see what's going on at our facilities, acting ICE Director Todd Lyons. And I do remember responding to this. So I said, he won't give a shit. Remember when the mayor went to the 2020 protests? They almost ripped him to shreds, and he still advocated for the mob and against the police, which he did. There's footage out there of it. There's footage of him standing out there with his own megaphone. The entire mob was surrounding him, and they were. I think they actually started throwing objects at him. They started throwing rocks and shit at him. And he was like, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. Then they rushed him out of there, and then, all hell ensued. Just fucking ridiculous. All right. Let me see. Portland mayor. So I'll come back to this here in just a second. I'm going to see if I can find that. I'm going to see if I can look for that. I want to see if it's got to be on here. Yeah, that's who it was. Ted Wheeler. That's right. Yeah, Mayor Ted Wheeler at the protest in Portland. That's the footage. I just want to see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Attends the protest, addresses the crowd. Check this shit out. So this was in 2020 during the Summer of Love. So, and they're talking about how this mayor should go down there, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, saying that he needs to go down there and see what's actually going on at the facilities. Why I think that he won't give a shit? Look, it might not be Ted Wheeler. He might not be the mayor anymore. He might be, might not be. I don't know. Don't really give a shit. But if it is him, even if it's not him, they're not going to give a shit. They're not going to care because this happened. Might get better quality. Is there anything better than that? No.
I'm just going to talk.
This is hilarious, man. Like, they almost tear his ass to shreds. It's hilarious.
We're going to get the mic working here.
I wish they would zoom out, man.
First of all, thank you all for being here.
It is a huge mob.
I want to thank the Portland Tribune. I want to thank
they're all
Mark
fucking
Garber,
Antifa
who's
and
here
shit.
somewhere, for setting up this opportunity. This is a listening session. I want to have the opportunity to hear you.
Oh my God, he's retarded.
And if everybody's yelling, nobody can hear anything.
He is so retarded. He's so fucking stupid.
Thousands of Portlanders who've come out to demonstrate in support of racial justice and equity.
Defund the police.
The thousands of you who've come
This is
out
the George
to
Floyd
oppose
bullshit.
the Trump administration's occupation of our city. It is an
They don't give a fuck that he's down there. They hate him.
Occupation. The tactics that are being used
Because he's in charge of the police. He's the police chief's boss. So, as far as they're concerned, he is part of the problem.
by our federal officers or
look, this lady's bragging that she stole a police hat.
They do not act with probable cause. People
Most
are
likely.
not being told who they are being arrested by, and they're being denied basic constitutional rights. The reason this is important.
I'm not sure what they're saying, but they're saying something negative about him. And I think they actually started throwing projectiles at him. It's fucking hilarious.
Happen in cities that are controlled by Democratic leaders.
They even got somebody down there doing sign language. Do you see that shit?
Police force for political ends. That is not
like, who the fuck thought this was going to be a good idea? Especially at night. I mean, of course, that's the only time Antifa typically goes out. Except in 2020, man, they were out all the time. Nobody was fucking stopping them.
Leave our city. It will happen all across the United States, jeopardizing our United States Constitution. With regard to the local police, because I'm not shirking that responsibility either, we have heard you. You've asked for reforms. We passed historic reforms. We reduced the budget, and we're starting next week.
So he just said that we passed the budget to defund the police. That's what he's talking about. That we listened, we passed a reform, we are defunding the police, and when are these people going to realize nothing is ever going to be enough for them? They want to completely burn the system down completely. That includes you, sir.
On the big work, which is reforming the oversight.
That just cracks me up. They got somebody down there doing sign language.
To work with my colleagues to do.
Okay, look. So I want to see, because I remember this. I think I watched it live. I watched a lot of this shit live back in 2020. But if they pulled back and they showed the crowd, it's a huge ass mob of like fucking like furious ass people. And then, like, he stands around for, like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and he tries to take questions, and then they kind of rush him out of there because shit starts getting, like, real crazy. That's in front of the federal building, by the way. So if you can see the building in the background, it's all graffitied up. And the feds finally put up this barrier around the building because people kept spray painting it up during the day and all that bullshit that they were involved with back in 2020. So, hold on. There was that... Here we go. Let me see if I'm sure they've got a view from this. All right, let me do this.
What do you plan on doing about the congressional document?
Well, he was down there longer than I thought. Yeah, here we go. I want him to start panning around and showing some of these fucking idiots standing up there on top of vehicles and shit. Now they've got it muted. I don't. Yeah, there's a lot. So they're all holding up signs. That's in front of. I don't know if it's what. I know it's a federal building. I don't know if it's like the federal courthouse. I'm not sure exactly. And ironically, they all have fucking peace signs. You can't make this shit up. Yeah, we want to have peace while we burn the city down. Oh yeah, here we go. That's another decent view. Yeah, and what was funny, like during the daytime, I had enough of this, but during the daytime, during the Summer of Love, they were having those daytime protests all over the country too, in LA and New York, and most of them that were out there doing all the rioting, they weren't wearing fucking masks. They didn't give a shit. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I get Trump was worried about his reelection. I get that he was dealing with COVID and everything, but he really should have dropped the hammer on this shit back then. But he pretty much gave all those policies down to the states, especially with regard to COVID. He didn't want any sort of like federal intervention. He just wanted the states to exercise their 10th Amendment rights with regard to how they handled COVID. But this whole like rioting around the country, man, that's something they really should have cracked down on, but they didn't. We saw a lot of shit burn down back in 2020. It's a ridiculous fucking year. All right. So now I'm going to play this and see what they have to say about this.
At least 3 states have conducted
so have that in mind with regard to the mayor. And think to yourself if he gives a shit. Probably not.
Escalation in violence compared to domestic violent extremist past attacks, which primarily resulted in property damage. What's your assessment of the threat that your folks face, and in particular with what's happening in Portland?
Hi, Martha. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, it's extremely high. I was just...
Well, and you know what? A lot of the problem with this is that if the local police arrest them, because that's what the feds have been asking for the local police in Portland to make arrests whenever there's obstruction and things like that. But it's not going to solve anything, because anytime that they get arrested, they let them out within an hour or so. And the judge, they always drop the charges. They just drop the charges, and the same people are out here doing the same shit the next day. That's why they need to be charged by the feds, so they go through a completely different system.
I was just with you last week.
Of course, there's a lot of leftist judges in the federal courts too.
It just shows that the increase in threat and violent acts is just getting worse. The men and women of the Portland office, they really can't even go out and do the ICE mission. We have Homeland Security Investigation Special Agents guarding the buildings. Deportation officers out there guarding the buildings, because they can't go out and get actual criminal aliens or actual public safety threats, because they have to guard our property. We had this back.
That's why the leftists are doing what they're doing.
Antifa took siege of our building.
Oh shit! Holy shit!
More than 200 days. Damn. Antifa, now we're 100 days into this. They're showing up.
Oh come on, man! I gotta see that again. Dude, she got fucked up.
Days into this.
Did he already hit her?
We had this back in 2022. Antifa took siege of our building.
Oh my God!
We were under siege for more than 200 days.
Holy shit!
Now we're 100 days into this. They're showing up.
All right, that was a little heavy, but okay.
They're masked all night long, and that's all we're doing is a constant battle rhythm of dealing with.
She should be thanking them. They've been dragging everybody else in. They let her walk in or waddle.
And it's getting worse all around the country. I really wish the Portland mayor would actually go out there at night when the sun goes down and actually see what's going on at our facilities.
Yeah, as I said, they don't give a fuck.
We always call for local and state support, yet it never shows up. But I do find it funny, though, the past few nights, we've seen a small contingent of Portland police officers out there making some arrests. And it's only after President Trump has shown the willpower to make sure...
Well, yeah, but we found out that the only arrests that they seem to be making are against journalists. They're arresting journalists like Nick Soto.
He's going to protect the men and women of ICE. That all of a sudden we're now starting to see some support. But it's too late at this point. The men and women of ICE and our other
stupid ass fucking green frog
have
out
truly
there.
been under siege, like you said, for the past 100 days. And it has
all these fucking furries. They got fucking furries down there too. You can't make this shit up, dude. Welcome to the clown world. All right, U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement again. ICE locator app linked to the Dallas shooting has been blocked by Apple. It's like giving a hitman a map. This is a great step by Apple. I wish other platforms would do the same.
Apple has removed the app that's called Ice Block. And the investigation shows that the sniper who targeted the Dallas facility last week used this app to find out where ICE was. How dangerous is that app? And,
you know what? If they find out that it wasn't an iPhone that he was using, if he was using some sort of an Android phone, they should sue the hell out of that company. They should sue whoever created the app, and they should sue the platform for where the app was on.
What's your response to the fact that it won't be available anymore?
I think it's a great step by Apple. I wish other platforms would do the same. That it's an actual law enforcement fact that if you put an app like that in the hands of someone that's an extremist, the field office director in Dallas said it best. It's like giving a hitman a map. The men and women of ICE would be targeted by these known apps. And you don't see apps against the FBI or a local police department showing where they are. It's only showing the men and women of ICE.
Well, and what's ironic is that these leftists, when they're doing this shit, because it could be a matter of public record, the existence of these apps, because it's observing the government as a whole. So what they're going to end up doing is making it illegal for you to be able to track anything going on in the federal government, which is going to hand an immense amount of more power over to the government. It's like these far leftists, they think that they're going to dismantle the government, but it's just going to end up having the opposite effect. You're going to end up creating a far more authoritarian government, which is probably what the powers up at the top of the Democrats and the far leftists and whoever else that's up there in the top tier of the establishment is probably exactly what they want. Because when that amount of power is handed over to the government, and God forbid the Democrats take back over, which history shows eventually they probably will. I mean, it's kind of ignorant to think that we're never going to have another Democrat president ever again. And for all that power to be handed over to the federal government, imagine that in the hands of the Democrats. It's kind of terrifying.
It's people who don't like
maybe that's the whole point.
And that puts the men and women in danger every day. And I think it's a great move on Apple, especially after the fact that it's now the FBI is able to reveal that app was used by the sniper in Dallas.
All right. So yeah, probably some. Oh yeah, here we go. I got a clip from Gutfeld with Lee Zeldin. Oh yeah, it was from him. So real quick, let me see. What time is it right now? All right, it's midnight my time. So let me check Portland live. See if there's anything. There's got to be something going on down there live right now. Let me check the filters. Change it to live. All right, 1800. Oh, that's from the AP. I don't really care about the AP. 51, 1. Not really. This one's got 6,500. That might be one to check out. So it doesn't look like anything crazy is happening, because if there was, there'd be like 50,000 people watching like one particular channel, or even a handful. So there's probably not a whole lot going on. So this is live. And that's the ICE building.
Oh, man.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
It's been a while since I've been tear gassed.
Oh, did they just get tear gassed? Really? Oh, yeah, they did, didn't they? Looks like tear gas, maybe.
I got a bunch of extra clothing.
Yo! All right, man. Some shit was going down.
Look at me in my eyes, puppy! I have one day, you're fucking killing me!
All right, here we go.
You like that, huh? You like that little slow,
watch some action. This was, what was that, about 10 minutes ago? About 20, this is 20 minutes ago.
I'm angry. You guys are all fucking here. You find that funny? You laughing a little bit? I got it. He's like, okay, maybe just a little bit. You're pretty funny. I know you think I'm funny.
Oh, these people are brain dead, man.
Oh, here we go.
Here comes the tear gas.
They're about to jump, too. They're about to jump. No, they're about to jump.
He just dropped it right in front. I love it. Fuck you. Oh, man, that was hilarious.
Oh my God, fuck you! You're a bunch of fascists!
Ooh, stings, doesn't it?
Tear gas is out.
The cops are just standing there and just letting it happen. There's a dude in the wheelchair. What the fuck's the wheelchair dude doing?
What the fuck you're doing? You're gonna be so fucking ashamed! Disgusting!
Uh-huh.
So out of nowhere, you decided
It's disgusting!
We were peacefully protesting, and you decided to do this shit. That is fucking
You're not peacefully protesting. You're blocking public streets. Dumbass. Do you have a permit to protest to block a street? I doubt it. Not that Portland gives a shit. Damn, dude, that's a lot of tear gas. It's gotta be humid. He just tosses one out there. That's hilarious, man. I love how he dropped it right in front of that dude and exploded right underneath him. Dude, that was just talking mad shit.
Do you know what? Look up the word fascist. That's what you are.
Dude, that word has been so fucking watered down at this point.
Why are you shooting poison in our streets?
They're moving back, man.
Damn, that thing, it releases a shitload of gas.
That was pretty wild sequence of events here.
Fuck you!
Oh yeah, that hurts so bad. Fuck you. Oh my god, that hurts. Yeah, and imagine living up in one of these buildings. You don't want to have any part of this shit. You got to go to work in the morning or whatever. And now you got to deal with like plumes of fucking tear gas. Like just wafting around your freaking apartment.
Yeah.
Could be a nice evening. You might want to have the windows open.
Less than lethal munitions, a few tear gas, a flashbang. They're still firing right now. They're still firing at people on the road.
I mean, let's be real. Any upstanding citizen, they probably left Portland like long ago.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what's going on. Racist fucks. Oh, they're going back?
So now they're moving back.
I mean, like really, like what was the point in all that? Why didn't they just arrest all of them? Like why just like toss some tear gas and just fucking leave?
So I don't know if that was like
I thought they were supposed to be cracking down on these people.
What that was. Had to have been a show.
By the way, I'm sure each tear gas can probably ain't cheap, and that's tax dollar money. All right, let me move up a little bit. All right, so they're back at the ICE building. Yeah, I mean, so shit is going down tonight. I'm surprised there's not a lot more people watching right now. And it's only 9 p.m. there, so you know shit's gonna get heavy again. Damn! What is that, like a fucking minigun, but for like rubber bullets or something?
They're firing from the rooftop. So they're firing down from the roof. They're just opening up on the protest now. It doesn't matter who it is.
Well, they said they're cracking down. Dude, if you're there, you're a fucking protester. If you're not a cop, you're a protester at this point. They've been very clear to stay away. I'm sure they've got some, I don't know, well, they probably don't have like an ordinance or anything. But all it's gonna do is just agitate them more unless they can actually arrest them and have them thrown in prison for a period of time. Otherwise, these same assholes are just gonna keep showing up day after day.
They're firing down from the rooftop as well. God damn.
Yeah, I suppose they could just constantly launch tear gas all night, every night. But it's not gonna fix the underlying problem though. These people they're gonna return every night.
They're gonna use that to just shoot at us. They have night infrared. They have IR. They have IR. They can see us. They can see us.
They have IR, dude. They're so tactical. They use tactical soap. They drink tactical coffee.
Serious levels of tear gas here. I gotta walk away just a little bit.
All right, so tear gas just hanging in the air. All right, let's go back up. So look at this shit, man. They got little tents set up. Probably selling T-shirts. Little Antifa pins and buttons.
That's a good.
Yeah, whatever. All right, yeah, it looks like they went back inside though. See,
from tear gas.
So I guess they just come out like every half an hour and just fire up a bunch of tear gas, and everybody just shows right back up again. The tear gas will disperse them for 10 minutes, and then they're right back out again.
Found someone struggling out there, so I don't have my
Besides,
saline with me.
a lot of these people, they got gas masks on anyway. I'm not sure if that actually helps all that much. Because it's probably Amazon shit. Bad. It's probably not military-grade gas mask.
So you gotta have a serious mask. And even, like I said, even mine, the one I have, this Temu one. It's not from Temu, but the mask I have, I got a new one coming. I got a NATO mask coming. It's gonna be baller, but this one I got from Amazon. And you can see there's already like orange on it from the
how did I know
smoke
that?
Grenades today.
This is too easy,
like
man.
It's
too easy.
Filters in there, so it's no good. And also it kind of broke. So this is the last hurrah for this one, but in general, you need a mask. You need a face shield out here. But you're gonna suffer. You will suffer, and there will be no relief.
Mercado Media, so you can,
and then even then you'll
so
be
YouTubers can become press now, I guess.
We're gonna be GGs for 11K.
Yeah, I'm a YouTuber. I'm a member of the
Thank
press
you,
now.
Appreciate that. Help us get
I have no idea
trying
who
to
this
get to
dude is.
100K.
I don't know. Maybe this is an
on YouTube.
actual like media entity that's beyond YouTube. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like that's
Supporting
pretty much where they're
independent
at
media.
now. Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, that was wild.
I'm seeing 21,000 people watching on YouTube right now. Appreciate everybody.
Is there really?
Thank you for all the support on
21,000
independent media. Support all independent media if you could.
Yeah, he's right. 22,000 people are watching right now.
We got 1,000 watching over on
That jumped
Twitch,
a lot.
so
Didn't it
Twitch
say
is
like
going
only
crazy, too.
7,000 when I
Appreciate
first clicked on this?
Yeah, they had orange, green, red. We were out here earlier today.
Yeah, see,
so
look at
again,
this
make sure
shit,
you guys
man.
are subscribed to
The
the channel.
super chats.
I'm gonna be here until Monday
they're gonna be
morning.
Shitloads of super chat money.
Probably setting
I
eyes
mean,
on
imagine
Chicago.
just going down there and filming it as a live streamer. Dude's probably gonna make thousands of dollars on this video tonight. So he certainly has a
Setting
hell of a
eyes on
financial
Chicago,
incentive
Memphis,
to be here.
Wherever else, they got a flag. Looks like they got a flag burning. Oh yeah, they got a flag burning over there.
Yeah, man, like all bets are off at this point.
Oh yeah,
They're indiscriminate. They said nobody should be down
grab your
here.
mask.
They've got their
Sorry, I
freaking
gotta go
tents
too.
all set up, selling merchandise.
Straight ahead, on the side.
I'm just not sure what the Trump administration is trying, like,
Or it was.
these tactics. What is this ultimately going to solve? It's not going to solve anything. These people are going to come down every day that they're doing this.
Oh, there. You can smell it. That's cool.
And I mean, like, what authority do they really have, though? If these people are not on federal property. Like I said, I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to all this, so. I would just think they would just round up everybody and just arrest them.
For a banner, so they gas multiple
But what's the
blocks
worst
for a
charge they
banner.
could be hit with? Probably not a felony.
I haven't even seen a banner. There's a lot going on.
But again, if they can hit them with obstructing federal agents, 8 years, you can get up to 8 years for that.
Thank you, Betsy, for the 5 gifted. Appreciate it.
All right, so that's basically it. That looks like it's cooling off at that point, so I might go back to it here in a little bit. Anyway, from Lee Zeldin, never give up the ability to make a joke, take a joke, and laugh. Society needs to resist turning every last bit of funny content into being considered politically incorrect and off limits.
They can't make a joke. They can't take a joke. And, and I would say, by the way, being here as the administrator of EPA, and a very important announcement, maybe a Fox News alert, is that every day the Democrats continue this Schumer shutdown, that sombrero is going to get 10 feet higher. When they put out, and they then put the sombrero and a mustache on JD.
Yeah.
And they think that like they're getting us back. And meanwhile, like if it's funny, like JD Vance will laugh his ass off because we can make a joke and we could take a joke. And now, like the contrast that's starting to exist.
Yeah, the left definitely cannot take a joke.
And liberals right now, we've seen it all. You covered it here about wanting our streets to be safe, our border to be some more secure. Boys shouldn't be competing against girls' sports. But all of a sudden, like with humor.
Yeah.
Like the other side is just they've lost it, and they will seriously be saying that that President Trump is Adolf Hitler. Mm-hmm. And if you support him, that makes you a fascist. And they will push rhetoric that will lead to actual political violence. I mean, they'll do it all seriously.
Yeah.
And then when there's punishment, be like, oh no, you guys can't take a joke. Like, no, because it's not funny. Now, as far as what the president's posting, now that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. It's.
Yeah, but that's all the idea, though, man. They're learning this shit in university classrooms. They're learning how to engage in these tactics. And a lot of that shit happened in World War II, ironically, in fascist dictatorships, where they would start with the name calling, and then they forced them to wear a certain item on their clothing, and then they just, long story short, started purging all of them And that's what the far left wants. That's what they want with conservatives. They want to purge all of them. That's what they want. I mean, that's really, I think, what they're ultimately trying to work toward. Pretty terrifying. That's why the Second Amendment is the hill to die on. Because if you allow you to give up your guns, it's over. It's completely over. You might as well give up your life at that point. Attorney General Pamela Bondi, Memphis Safe Task Force update. Last night in Memphis, 74 arrests were made and 16 illegal firearms seized. Arrests include multiple gang members, including one wanted for murder and an illegal alien juvenile arrested with approximately 2 pounds of meth. Damn, dude, 2 pounds, almost a whole kilo. And 227 arrests so far. 65 illegal guns seized. Looks just like the DC image that they were using. Every day they would make an update. I haven't seen the DC one in a couple days. I'm sure they're still putting it out. But they were up over 2,000. They might be approaching 3,000 at this point. They might even be over that by now. So this is Secretary Kristi Noem, Chicago. We're here for you.
Go, push. Get out of the way for the Bearcat. Clear the way for the Bearcat.
I believe those are the Tren de Aragua gang members that they arrested. Was that last week? Yep, and the Democrats are fighting tooth and nail to keep them around. They want to keep them there, keep them doing what they're doing, slinging drugs and all the other shit that they're involved with. America for Americans, we're asleep no longer. I already did that one. That was hilarious. Yep, that's the last thing I got, actually. So that's pretty much it. How long have I been going for? Like 2.5 hours. Damn. I don't know, man. It's the weekend. I'm just chilling. Not really up to much. U.S. shutdown hits day 5 amid ACA subsidy clash. U.S. government shutdown starting October 1st after Congress failed to pass a funding bill. They furloughed hundreds of thousands of federal workers and raised economic concerns. Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, demand extension of enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies benefiting 20 million Americans to avert premium hikes, while Republicans oppose it over disputes on reimbursing states for undocumented immigrant programs. Fact checkers confirm undocumented immigrants are ineligible for federal ACA coverage, deeming Republican claims misleading. No, it's non-citizens. They're changing the language. It's non-citizens. Anyway. Yeah, the Democrats shut down the government because Soros-backed groups paid them to do so. You're welcome. I'm available for hire as a fact checker. Well, you got the facts down below? Can you track the money to Soros? Interesting. It's well documented that Indivisible operates a public pressure campaign on the Senate Democrats, and it's well documented that Soros backs both groups heavily. Interesting. Yeah, man, show the receipts if you're able to. Democrats did not shut down the government to give health care to illegal immigrants. No, just to non-citizens. At least that's what I'm seeing on my side. Obamacare took away. I mean, either way, even if they are not, or if they agree to not in writing, and it's ironclad, they cannot give a single dime to non-citizens. Still, at the end of the day, these tax credits were from the COVID era, and COVID is over. So all should return to normal at this point. People should not be getting COVID discounts on their health insurance in the year 2025. Should not be happening, because that is your money. That is my money. It's our tax money that is going to fund this. And people should just be paying how much that they were paying from before. Yeah, it sucks that insurance is so expensive, but don't put that on taxpayers. get pissed off at the elected officials who allowed our insurance industry to get as absolutely insane as it is now. It's not just health insurance. It's homeowners insurance, car insurance, probably life insurance. All kinds of insurance has gone up like fucking crazy. Elon Musk calls for Netflix boycott over transgender themes in kids shows. Yeah, I heard about this. That's not new news. That's been going on for a while. He urges, damn, he's up to 227 million followers, to cancel Netflix subscriptions, criticizing the platform for promoting transgender ideology in children's programming, such as Dead End, Paranormal Park. The campaign led to reports of mass cancellations and a 5% drop in Netflix's stock, resulting in about $15 billion in lost market value as of October 4th. While supporters see it as safeguarding children from inappropriate content, critics view it as resistance to inclusive representation, with Netflix upholding its commitment to diverse storytelling. I don't know. I don't have Netflix. I've never had a Netflix account. Well, I think I technically did, because I actually did get a couple of Netflix DVDs in the mail. So that goes to show you how long ago it was since I participated in Netflix. Probably would have been like, I don't know, 2008, maybe 2009, maybe somewhere around there. Yeah, it's been a while. I ain't got that kind of money for Netflix. How much are they charging now? Like $25 a month or something? Used to be, what was it, $9.99 for the longest time? Then they just started jacking up the price. Pete XF delivers rousing locker room speech. Yeah, I already saw that. Let's see. Mom Donnie's trending for some reason. What the hell is he talking about now? Who knows? Zoran Mamdani's father, a Columbia professor, believes the Allies and Nazis had the same goal. Lincoln inspired Hitler. What? White people are oppressors, America is evil, and BLM is the resistance. This is the worldview that shaped Zoran. Yeah, well, there you go, New York. That's who you want to run your city. I mean, if they vote for him, I guess it's their problem. Even though I'm sure that still probably ripples out across the country in some way or another, because it is New York City. There are two evils, Cuomo and Mamdani, and the only alternative is Curtis Sliwa. He's the right man at the time for the job. Let's elect a mayor. Look, if only Republicans had a really good ground game, but they really don't. It would certainly be nice if they did. They've got a few people out there fighting on behalf of them. Like Scott Presler, he's one of them. I mean, imagine if they had 1,000 Scott Preslers. I think Republicans would probably end up with a supermajority, probably. Let's see. Mansion Boy Mamdani, a hypocrite for owning Uganda land while championing abolition of private property. Yeah, that's a little contradictory. Ridiculous. All right. Yeah, I don't really have much else. Not much else. I'll probably watch a few minutes of this, but I'm probably going to cut it here. Because there's probably not much more going on here. Yeah, probably not a lot. Why does it keep pausing?
You guys see everything good? Sound good? Sound check?
I mean, after seeing this, I have my doubts that anything is really going to come out of this. Almost like it's just political in nature. Because if they were to actually get things done to the point where they get rid of the protesters, the only option is to conduct mass arrests and have them thrown in jail for a substantial amount of time. So when you got Pamela Bondi and all the others out there saying that they're sending in all these military, the FBI, DEA agents, all these people down there to take Portland back, how are you going to do that if you're not going to arrest everybody there? And they're obviously not arresting everybody there. So to me, it just kind of seems like political posturing at this point. And are they still conducting raids? Are they still going out every day and rounding up illegals in Portland?
That, Robin.
Would certainly hope so. Otherwise, this is just kind of a waste.
Make sure you like and subscribe because this isn't the end.
Because these people, they're not going to stop unless they're thrown in jail.
Remember 2020, if you're a new viewer, if you watched any stream from Minneapolis, you probably watched one of mine. You just didn't know it back then. But we're back doing coverage of protests and unrest, civil unrest, or riots, or whatever happens out here. We're back doing it. So make sure you subscribe for all future and current.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of money in it for you, isn't there?
What's going on?
Yeah, of course he's going to be in the heart of the action.
Portland, a lot of Portland tuned in.
All right, what's he up to now?
Crowd's starting to form back up over here. He's probably like 100.
Oh, great. The CCP flag. Wonderful.
Like
or no, it's not. That's the hammer and sickle.
Like
that's the freaking USSR flag, isn't it? Communists.
Portland right now,
Bunch of communists.
And we're 10 toes down in Portland.
Quite ironic.
On the scene.
Wait, where are we at? 16,000 watching. Yeah, 'cause there's not really much going on. I mean, it's down a little bit, but it's still a lot. Still a lot of people.
Hey, that scene was crazy though, huh?
All right. Well, I think I'm just going to cut it there. All the links from all the articles, I'll drop them into the description. So anyway, if you like the video, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I do a show called The Swamp Monday through Friday. It's in the evening hours. I usually post the videos around like about 10 o'clock. That's usually the time that I usually get the video done. So yeah, if you subscribe to the channel, I'd be very, very much appreciative. And I'll be back with another video probably tomorrow. Not really sure what I've got going on tomorrow. I'll probably end up posting something. Haven't really, got anything set in stone. But definitely we'll be back with The Swamp on Monday. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you later.